coming to you live. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome to Barion Babes. I'm your host, Vale Chikune. We begin. Candace Owens. Yes, we are still on this story and we are going to cover it. We are out here debunking the conspiracy theory that's coming out from Mrs. Farmer. Well, we got a lot to get to, guys. We'll cover as much as we can. If we have to do another show, so be it, because it is important to cover what's happening. Given the amount of the Kool-Aid that Candace is passing out, yes, people are drinking on it, okay? Hook, line, and sinker. So, yes, we're continuing with this story. This time around, we have the goalpost has moved. So we have new people that Candace Owens is accusing, okay? But as usual, she always finds a way, oh, that's not what I said. You know how she rolls, okay? So I don't know if you're keeping score. This is, the B card, the Jews, people at Turning Point, the Russians, the Macrons. You already know how that's going. So let's get into it. I'll be making commentary along the way. Bring your chats, and then we're also going to feature them, okay? Because I know everybody has something to say as far as this story is concerned. So this, as she's doing her victory lap, right? But let's examine more what she's saying. All right, let's get right into it, guys. Here we go. Candace Owens, where are you?
Because that's certainly getting a little more interesting, maybe a bit darker than we had anticipated, because just 16 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, he mysteriously retweeted a 2013 tweet from Donald Trump calling for public executions. Now, I have tried, and I don't feel that there is any way that I can confidently explain to you guys why he tweeted that, least of all in the context of him having already admitted that he and a rabbi in Israel had a long talk with Charlie the night before he died, something he was very proud of. Also, Dinesh D'Souza has jumped into the mix. Welcome, Dinesh D'Souza. He is joining every commentator who hates Candace Owens. That's nice that he has entered the foray. He's got some things to say to me. We're going to discuss it because it's weird. And I'm also going to explain to you why, more formally at least, why I decided to activate an effective kill switch. And I want you guys to pay attention because this is really important. Welcome back to Candace. Hoisted by his own petard. That's an expression, obviously, that we use a lot. And I have this thing where I always have to go back and research and figure out why we use common expressions, because nobody actually thinks about those things anymore. Well, this one is pretty obvious. It refers to when soldiers would use a petard, essentially a bucket-shaped explosive device packed with gunpowder, effectively a bomb, to blow up the gates and wall fortifications of their enemies. They'd light the fuse, and sometimes they would be hoisted by their own bombs. And that's exactly what is happening right now to Josh Hammer. For weeks after the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Josh Hammer obsessively and shamelessly accused people of lying, people of grifting, people of attempting to destroy Charlie Kirk's legacy. Charlie Kirk was his friend, he claimed rather maniacally, that Charlie never once flinched on the topic of Israel. He died just loving Israel. It was like, are you kidding me? That's all he cared about. Check out just some of these tweets, by the way. This is a collage. We just don't have all day here to gather crazy Josh Hammer tweets, but you get the idea. There is a repulsive op right now to hijack Charlie Kirk's legacy. There is a repulsive op right now desecrating Charlie's memory by trying to posthumously convert him to Groyperism. Can't believe there's something known as Groyperism. I was given access to this letter a few months ago, and I read it at that time. Tucker, Candace, and other bad faith actors are lying through their teeth about Charlie and Israel. Candace Owens and other grifters, you get that back up for a quick second. Candace Owens and other grifters are trying to posthumously rewrite and hijack the legacy of the great Charlie Kirk to further their patently evil ends. There has been a repulsive op. The reality is simple. Charlie was a bridge. Like, it's weird that he keeps repeating that sentence. Like I said, maniacal, obsessed. And of course, in the comfort of his own derangement and with the full support of the press and the silence of Charlie's other quote unquote friends, Josh was really acting the part of a true Pharisee. He was certain that the truth would not rise again. He was so confident that he had killed it and that he could himself hijack the legacy of Charlie Kirk. Except the truth did kind of rise again. It kind of always does rise again. And the world now knows that Josh Hammer had personal, intimate knowledge that Charlie's views were changing. He lied about the Hamptons meeting. I've told you the truth from day one. Seth Dillon and Josh were personally upset with Charlie's defiance against the state of Israel. Seth Dillon was the more vocal of the two parties in the Hamptons, as I said, in terms of actually pressing Charlie. But both of them were upset about the way that they saw his viewpoints shifting. And Tucker was therefore correct at Charlie Kirk's memorial. It was definitely the correct analogy when he spoke about these sorts of individuals who plot and lie and think that they are going to be successful in, well, murdering the truth in the story of Jesus Christ. Take a listen.
Charlie would.
Okay, so this is, she's teeing it up for you guys, but now she is accusing Josh Hammer. And who is Josh Hammer? Josh Hammer is a friend to Charlie Kirk, and he also did a debate between Josh Hammer and Dave Smith. Josh Hammer, he's a Jew, and Dave Smith is a Jew, and Charlie Kirk facilitated, he was the moderator for the debate. Not only that, the text message that Candace Owens has been taking a victory, Josh Hammer was one of the people in that text messages. So now that there is a tweet that resurfaced, according to her, where Josh retweeted, bring back public execution. So now Candace Owens is tying him to how can you tweet, bring back public execution. And then the following day or 2 days later, Charlie Kirk was executed. So because of that, Candace Owens has now entered Josh Hammer as one of the suspects. Okay? She's just flat out accusing him of having something to do with Charlie Kirk, who happens to be friends with Charlie Kirk. So you know how many people Candace Owens has accused so far, and this is where this thing is going. But we have the tweets as well as Josh Hammer himself. He actually responded to these allegations, to these accusations. Once again, she keeps going back to what happened at the Hamptons. Candace Owens has not produced any evidence to prove that Charlie Kirk there was an intervention that took place. The people she ended up accusing, for example, Bill Ackman, he produced the text messages and it showed Charlie messages as well as his messages. So at the end of the day, there was nothing there that shows that there was an intervention, because Candace Owens had accused Bill Ackman because he's the one who hosted this, right? This particular event. The final text that they had, it was actually Charlie Kirk telling him, next time when I come, we need to get the ladies out for dinner. Charlie Kirk is the one who contacted Bill Ackman. So all this was set up by him. But nevertheless, that issue has been debunked. Candace Owens keeps moving. She's not showing you the evidence. Now that those text messages have been affirmed by Turning Point USA, I don't think she feels any need to show anybody the so-called receipts. But she keeps going on this issue that there was an intervention that took place at the Hamptons. There's people who attended. They actually came out and says, no, that's not what happened. Candace Owens was not there, okay? She did not attend this event. So where is she getting this information that an intervention took place coming after Charlie Kirk, right? She hasn't produced any of that. So let's continue. This is where we're going, okay? The tweet and the text messages are going to follow. And then you're going to see the connection that she's actually making. Like, man, what does this got to do with anything else? But, she calls herself a journalist, right? So let's continue, guys. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Referring to the criminal who horrifically murdered the Ukrainian refugee, Irina Zarutska, in North Carolina. That was obviously a big story in the beginning of September. Yashar Ali wrote this. Last night, Candace Owens, quote, tweeted notorious neo-Nazi Sam Parker, who pointed out that Josh Hammer, who is Jewish and was a friend of Charlie Kirk's, elevated a Trump tweet from 2013, the day before, which called for public executions. Candace, of course, would like people to believe that Josh's quote tweet is suspicious in the context of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But Josh was just sharing what many conservatives were sharing and stating the day before. That's because they were talking about the horrific murder of Irina Zarutska. This is where I say that no civilized nation uses the death penalty, in parentheses, referring to his own thoughts. Now, another user then jumped on that and tried to establish a non-fact, that the footage of Arena's murder was released on that day, on the 9th, and that's why Josh tweeted that. All of this is factually untrue, okay? Arena was murdered on August 22nd. Her perpetrator was arrested that same day, and the footage was released and trended on X on September 5th. Josh himself sent multiple tweets regarding the homicide, as everyone did, because, like I said, it was trending. And when he was asked specifically about punishment, criminality, perhaps that her perpetrator should face, Josh, at no point that I could determine, whether he was on the news, whether he was on his own show or anywhere else, did he speak about the death penalty or, a public execution. Instead, as you will see, and we will show you Josh in his own words, he spoke about the double standards surrounding the media coverage of her murder and really the topic of criminality more broadly and safety in America. Take a listen to what Josh said.
Gabrielle, I'm a lawyer by training. I remember my first year of law school back in 2013 when I was taking criminal law. This is kind of the beginning of kind of the left's kind of foray into so-called criminal justice reform. And even back then, there's a lot of chatter among my more liberal classmates about how, incarceration and prisons and locking people up, how all of this is just racist. It's kind of like it is an old kind of symbol of a white patriarchal, colonialist, imperialist society there, and how the ultimate goal is basically to defund the prisons. And then, if some people are going to commit some violent crimes, essentially let the chips fall where they may. Well, this is letting the chips fall where they may. But most American people have not lost their minds. Most American people stand where Donald Trump stands, was that they want basic safety. And
I don't disagree that we all want basic safety. I just don't hear him. And like I said, I've looked for it ever even calling for the death penalty in those days that were leading up. So I decided to do what I always do. Rather than say what he definitely meant or what he didn't mean, I decided to just create a micro timeline of Josh Hammer's tweets. And it gets pretty interesting on September 9th, the day before Charlie Kirk's assassination. This is what Josh Hammer tweeted. He tweeted a total of 9 times on September 9th. And you can gather what was going on at that day from his tweets. He wakes up at 7:30 A6, or rather pushes the first tweet at 7:36 a.m., and he tweets about a viral Phillies crowd scandal. This is in Eastern Standard Time, by the way. Right after that, he tweets a link, the one that I just showed you, to his media appearance about Irina Zarutska, where he does not call for the death penalty or anything close to the death penalty. 9:23 a.m., he tweets against Tucker Carlson because he has to do that at least twice a day, or I don't feel like he can get on with his day. 9:29 a.m., he tweets in favor of Israel and throws shade at Trump and Qatar, and all of this is related to what went on September 9th, which is that Israel bombed Qatar for no reason, violating international law, which they tend to do a lot. But he, of course, was in favor of what they were doing, and so he throws shade at Trump and Trump's relationship with Qatar, because I guess it would be okay for them to violate international law if Trump wasn't friends with Qatar or something. 11:33 a.m., he tweets against Saudi Arabia because they came out and made a statement against what Israel had done. So he tweets against Saudi Arabia. And then at 3 o'clock p.m., he tweets against Tucker Carlson for telling the truth about Israel and 9/11. Again, he has to do that a couple of times a day. It's part of his ritual. 5:58 p.m., he tweets about the Hebrew Bible being the basis of Western civilization alongside a speech that he had given, tweets a link out, again, promoting himself. 5:59 p.m., he tweets a promotion of his media appearance regarding a Supreme Court decision. And then there's this 3-hour break. He puts his phone down. Maybe this is a 3-hour break where he speaks to Charlie Kirk. I don't know, but I know that he speaks to Charlie Kirk at night. And then at 9:09 p.m., again, we're talking Eastern, Josh Hammer tweets in favor of public execution, and there's no context that is provided. So anybody telling you he for sure meant this or he for sure didn't mean this is a liar. We cannot know that. We cannot know Josh Hammer's thoughts. A couple of things that I want to point out. Josh is not saying in that tweet that he's calling for the death penalty. People calling for the death penalty, debating the death penalty is a very common political debate. It's a very common political talking point. It is absolutely not a typical or a regular political talking point or debate regarding public executions. We don't talk about that often. It's an exceedingly specific ask, right? Usually reserved to a visceral response to something that you have seen and in the moment, right? Matt Walsh, actually, when we were prepping the show, I said, I will guarantee you that when that footage got dropped, which was on September 5th, 4 days earlier, Matt Walsh would have tweeted, this person should be publicly executed. And by the way, he did. He did. He said, we can't keep living like this. The only solution is ruthless punishment, public execution for violent criminals, long prison sentences, hard labor. This guy had multiple previous arrests. He should have already been serving 30 years in the labor camp. This is the only way, as our ancestors knew. We've tried compassion and restorative justice, and this is the result. It was inevitable. So Matt Walsh then went on his show and further explained that already contextualized tweet, and he explained how men have a visceral response when you see somebody being victimized, a woman being victimized in that way that Irina was. So we decided for good measure that we should check to see if maybe it was something regular that Josh Hammer also spoke about, which is public executions. And I can tell you that it is not something that Josh Hammer regularly tweets about or discusses. The first time that he tweeted about a public execution was back in 2013. And he said it in reference, in 2022. And he said it in reference to the Boston Marathon bombing terrorist account. Oh, sorry, the Uvalde shooter. The Uvalde shooter is apparently dead, but just as with the Buffalo shooter, this level of pure evil would have been another ideal time for a public execution. So to be clear, that makes sense, right? He is in the moment and he is saying, I'm having a visceral reaction to the idea of another school being shut out, having another school shooting. And for that reason, I am saying that this would have been an appropriate scenario for a public execution. Emotions are running high. You are visceral and you're learning things. You're seeing and you're learning those things in the moment. As I said, that would make sense.
Okay. So what is Candace Owens doing right now? She is establishing a pattern, according to her, why Josh Hammer ended up tweeting about public execution. So what was happening around the time that tweet took place, okay? Remember, there was a young lady who was killed in, is it Nashville? No, Nashville? She's a Ukrainian refugee. I forgot her name. Arana, something like that. But anyway, there's a young lady who was killed, okay? There was a young lady who was killed in Nashville by, somebody who was supposed to be in jail. For some reason, he was out and about. So, as a result, people were tweeting that they need to bring back death penalty. And this is what a whole bunch of people were tweeting, okay? And one of the person who ended up to, putting out this tweet was Donald Trump. So when Donald Trump tweeted about this public execution, a whole bunch of people were also doing what? Were also doing the same thing. And Josh Hammer was one of the people who also what? Who also tweeted, who tweeted Donald Trump, saying that, oh, it's based, okay? So the person who is even coming to the defense of Josh Hammer as it relates to this is none other than Ali Beth-Taki, who happens to be also friends with Candace Owens. So watch this, guys, okay? So this is, wait a minute. Why did he do that? If we okay, there you go. Okay, because I resized this for some reason, whatever. Anyway, so this is what's happening. Okay, this is Josh is clearly talking about the serial criminal who killed Ilyana Zaruska. You know who else was publicly in favor of the death penalty for murderers? Charlie. Okay, it is seek to implicate Josh in Charlie's assassination, and Josh Hammer just based. Okay, so over here, look at the court tweets. Josh did not dig up this post. It was going viral in conservative circles. That day, he was one of the men of the right who reposted it. It's a little too soon to be defending Josh Hammer, Ari, So, people are coming, like, oh, why are you defending Josh Hammer and everything? But it is actually true that Donald Trump, this post is now available. Okay, right here. Okay, so this is what Donald Trump had tweeted. Should be public execution for all to see. You end this, be fast. So as far as the evidence to back up that this young man, Josh Hammer, was putting out these tweets, this was a conversation that was going on Twitter. People talking about execution does fit the timeline. It does fit. It was the timeline of Ilyana Zaruska being killed, and people were tweeting like this. So, but now Candace has found out, like, wait a minute. Why would Josh Hammer be caught tweeting, talking about execution, and then Charlie Kirk ended up, being executed? And even if, let's just grant Candace Owens' premise, right? Josh Hammer had something to do with it. How stupid and naive would you have to be knowing that you're about to execute somebody? You honestly, if it was you would actually be tweeting about execution if that's exactly what you're going to do? After all, let's not forget, right? Josh Hammer, he's a lawyer. So, like, how stupid of a lawyer can he be to be implicating himself in that way by tweeting out about this so-called execution? So people, have even dug up to even prove this point. And do you think Candace Owens has taken this back? No. Do you think that she has apologized after all these proven things to the contrary? No. She's just moving on to the next story. If you can, and this is how she operates. Like, no. If stuff has been corrected and you said something, you should be able to come back and be like, okay, I stand corrected, This is what she has found, and she's moving with it. But there is no evidence to support her claims. If anything, her claims have actually been debunked. Okay? So take a listen at this, okay?
Twitter users pointed out a very strange tweet that Josh Hammer hit send on 16 hours before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. For no apparent reason at all, he retweeted something that President Donald Trump had sent a full 12 years ago about public executions. Here it is. Here is that retweet. Now, what is the justification for this? There might be one. I tried in earnest to at first rationalize it, right? What could have been going on that Josh Hammer decided to dig through the 2013 Twitter archives and retweet someone calling for a public execution? Would we trust if Josh came out and said that tweet was definitely about Irina? Other people pulled Trump tweets. Some pulled that very tweet and called for a public execution.
So what you're seeing there, shout out to Milkbar TV. They're just scrolling a whole bunch of people who were tweeting during the same time. Was the thing went viral. So that's what's happening right now. Okay? Hold on.
The first time that he tweeted about a public execution was back in 2013. And he said,
okay, so that has been disproven as far as Candace is concerned. Josh Hammer tweeted Donald Trump. He was not the only one. A whole bunch of people were doing it. That tweet actually went viral. So for her to accuse Josh Hammer to have something to do with Charlie Kirk simply because he had tweeted something out that had to do with execution has been proven to be false and debunked. The evidence is just right out there, even coming from somebody who happens to be her friend, Ali Beth Stack, and a whole bunch of people on Twitter. But still, she hasn't taken this back, and she's continuing. So this is a problem with what she's doing. She's putting out information out there. People are being accused of doing something, and then the so-called receipts that she has brought up, they don't even hold any water in any way, shape, or form. So let's continue with Lady Candace. Here we go, guys. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
I also want to remind you that Josh Hammer is a lawyer by training. He was at one point the editor-at-large of the Daily Wire, and he is currently the senior editor-at-large at Newsweek's. Plus, he hosts his own show. My point that I'm making here is he knows how to communicate, okay? This is not some random guy on Twitter who doesn't know that if you haven't tweeted all day about something, you can't just throw out tweets about public executions without contextualize them, right? He certainly understands you don't just send out a standalone tweet at 9 o'clock p.m. and everyone's just going to go, what are you referring to? He knows the public is not going to comprehend what he means outside of him providing some further context. And I will also add here that it is not particularly helpful that Josh Hammer as an individual is obsessively angry. He is an incredibly angry little man. You can read through his tweets. He has openly expressed bigoted and prejudiced opinions against white people. Okay? He does not view himself to be a white person. He views himself to be a separate race, Jewish. That is a fact, and it wasn't a long time ago. We don't have to go back to 2013 to hear his ideas on that. Here is a tweet from him in 2019 that he then erased regarding white people. Here's what he said. Jew hatred is inherent in the European DNA. Okay? Just like it's inherent. You're just inherent. If you're white, you're inherently guilty. You're inherently an anti-Semite. It's just you're born this way. It's just in your DNA. It's incredible. He said that. And in response, we were told that he meant it metaphorically, which kind of metaphor. Can you run that tweet again? I do know a little bit about metaphor.
So on that point, Candace, she's correct. What Josh Hammer tweeted in terms of, him just being a racist towards white people. He happens to be a Jewish person. That was wrong. What he did was wrong. And what Candace is saying over there is correct. Okay? I'm sure that's why he ended up deleting that tweet. However, just because he did those things, okay, we cannot just say that, oh, yes, he was tweeting about execution against Charlie Kirk when he wasn't. Okay, when he wasn't. That was a tweet that was trending. Everybody else was doing that in reference to the young lady who was killed in the bus in Nashville. So both of those things are absolutely true. He tweeted something against white people, which is despicable. And if people want to call him out on that issue, fair game. Okay, absolutely fair game. And yes, what he did is absolutely wrong and everything else. But just because he did those things, so now we're just not going to turn around and be like, oh yes, which means over here he was also calling for execution about Charlie Kirk while he wasn't. And the evidence proves as such. So, you get the point. We continue with Candace.
Words and similes, and I'm not feeling... Jew hatred is inherent in European DNA. How's that for a metaphor, guys, for you? Because I thought metaphor might be fire hair to describe somebody who's red-headed. Oh, no, it's not literally fire. It's fire red. No, I don't think a metaphor would be saying explicitly and literally that hating Jews is inherent inside of white people. I think it's amazing that he's even allowed, like there's just no consequence. It's like, yeah, well, editor at large in Newsweek, what are you going to do? It's fine. You can hate white people. We all know that. It's fine. Totally fine. Anyways, that's what he thinks about you guys. Full stop. And people are maybe perhaps because of that, because of how he regularly treats people and how he regularly attacks people and how vicious he is, are not feeling particularly charitable towards him, especially having been exposed as somebody who lied so audaciously and boldly and repeatedly and unnecessarily about the pressure that Charlie was under, pressure which Josh Hammer was a part of applying in the weeks and then in the hours leading up to Charlie Kirk's death. It saddens me that Charlie was stressed and Charlie was worried, and that the very people that were stressing him out and making him have that sense of anxiety and worry, then you eulogized him and lied about all that. Why lie? That's the part that the public does not understand. How can we then trust a person that lies in that way? The natural thing is for us to then wonder, what else is Josh lying about? Would we trust if Josh came out and said that tweet was definitely about Irina? Other people pulled Trump tweets. Some did, pulled that very tweet and called for a public execution. Would you trust Josh if he came out and said, I know I didn't contextualize it, and I know all day I was tweeting about Israel, but that one was about Irina? Don't forget, he proudly went around and he promoted to everyone that would listen that he spoke to Charlie the night before he died, probably in that 3-hour window. He bragged that he and Rabbi Wolicki had a Zoom call with Charlie. Why? Because they said Charlie wanted them to help him with his talking points about Israel. Now, I have to say, Charlie was one of the most skilled debaters ever, like literally ever. Any person that I have seen actually debating on stage, I learned my debate cues from Charlie Kirk. So it is very new to me to think that they scheduled this call because he was in need of tips on debating from a rabbi over in Israel and Josh Hammer. But let's be real, I have no proof to the contrary because I wasn't on the Zoom call. And Josh made it clear.
Listen to her. She says she has no proof to the contrary because she wasn't on the Zoom call after she has given you all this information, and yet she wasn't. Remember, she has portrayed herself as the best friend to Charlie Kirk, okay? What is not in dispute is they used to be very good friends at the beginning of Turning Point USA. Nobody questions that. But during the later years of Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens is nowhere to be found as far as the best friend situation is concerned. But this is her talking points, that she was BFF with Charlie Kirk. So if Candace is BFF with Charlie Kirk, how come it wasn't her on the Zoom call and yet it was Josh Hammer? It wasn't Candace Owens. Huh? Even the other tweet when Charlie was saying, I'm frustrated, the Jewish donor has pulled out, thinking of abandoning the pro-Israel cause. Guess who was on that chat? Josh Hammer was on that chat. Candace Owens was not on that particular chat. So now, because it's other people who happen to be closer to Charlie, and then she wasn't, she's out here bringing all these accusations. And it did not miss out to me. She says that if she finds out that Charlie Kirk was so stressed, If she finds out that Charlie Kirk was so stressed, that other people were making Charlie Kirk so stressed, they're going to get it. They're going to have it with Candace Owens. Did I remind you that Candace Owens is a married woman to George Farmer? And Charlie Kirk was married to Erica Kirk, okay? Trust and believe, even if Charlie was frustrated, even if he was having anxiety, okay? It is not Candace Owens' responsibility, okay? That's Erica's responsibility because that was her husband, okay? That's her responsibility to make sure her boo is okay, who is bothering her husband. Why is she coming in, a third party to this marriage, to making sure that Charlie Kirk wasn't stressed? What does that got to do with anything else? Huh? If my husband is stressed, that's my responsibility, okay? I'm not expecting any woman out there trying to be claiming like, oh, you know what, my vice husband is their best friend. And if my husband is stressed, they want to be the one taking care of that particular problem. No, absolutely not. So she's just talking all these other things with no regard that she's a married woman and Charlie Kirk was a married man. Like, why are we ignoring that fact? Why are we ignoring that fact? And let's remember, she told us Charlie appeared to her in a dream and told her that she was betrayed. So Charlie Kirk has forgotten his wife was Erica Kirk. How come he didn't appear to Erica Kirk and tell his wife that, oh, by the way, I was betrayed? Why is he going to Candace Owens? So, but we already know about this, right? But, just to entertain Candace Owens. We do not believe to speaking with the dead, okay? The dead don't come back and speak to you. You can dream of somebody. You can dream about something. You can dream of somebody who died. But if somebody is communicating with you, telling you XYZ from the dead, that is pure witchcraft, necromancy, and the Bible speaks those things in a negative sense. It is not a good thing. Okay? It is absolutely not a good thing. So, and then she's telling us like, okay, we should just believe that. No, you know what I'm saying? What you see over there, that wasn't Charlie Kirk, okay? That was a demon disguising himself as Charlie Kirk. And why is he coming to you, particularly to you, Candace? Why? Because he knows that you are the one who's out here putting all this discord, accusing people, this false accusation, casting suspicions on people with zero evidence. And Josh Hammer is the married man, by the way. If she was out here to be coming after Josh Hammer for tweeting something against white people, but have at it. You see what I'm saying? Because that's exactly what he tweeted, and it was wrong. So if you want to come after him for that reason, I'm with you on that one. I am absolutely with you on that one. But you're just going to be accusing people for what reason? For what purpose? Okay? So let's not forget. This is a married woman fighting for someone else's husband. Why? Why? So let's hear a little bit more. Then we'll go to, because Josh Hammer, he has responded. Because these are very huge accusations, okay? You're accusing somebody of dying. We know how it is, the way people are so crazy out here, Candace Owens has a huge platform. So if she's out here accusing people of doing these things, what if somebody goes out there and do a crazy thing to this young man? So she is very irresponsible. Very, very irresponsible.
Clear multiple times that in his last conversation with Charlie, above anything else, was really interested in Josh's book. So much so that in his literal first tweet, after news broke that Charlie had in fact died, Josh manages to bring up his book. I'm not kidding. Here's his tweet. He writes this: I am speechless, devastated, and heartbroken. We spoke less than 24 hours ago. Charlie joked how he was going to plug my book on this very tour. He was a unique force, a generational leader. Pray for Charlie's beautiful wife and their young children. Rest in peace, warrior. And as you saw yesterday, Josh never forgets to plug his book. He never once forgot to plug his book. A few days after Charlie's death, he went on JTV, which is on the global Jewish channel, to discuss that last call with Charlie further with a host named Ali. And here is what Josh says about his book.
We actually did speak for the last time less than 24 hours before the assassination happened. We had a Zoom call, a friend of mine, him, a couple of his producers. It was a small call. We were literally talking, above all, about the anti-Israel questions that he expected to receive on this campus tour. And we were kind of talking him through talking points and strategy and how to deal with these expected hostile questions. And you held out my book, Israel and Civilization, Ali. The last words I think Charlie spoke to me were, He literally said, Josh, when the Israel question comes up, I'm just going to plug your book, Israel and Civilization, because I think that what you read in the book basically is how I feel as well. And that ends up being the last time that we spoke.
Well, you heard him. It's like Charlie's final wish is for you to buy Josh Hammer's book. I mean, he's like, hey, he literally says, like, the last thing he said to me actually was like, I'm just going to plug your book. What he wanted to do on his tour was just to plug Josh Hammer's book. And it's so sad that he never had the opportunity to plug Josh Hammer's book. Now, let's keep with this interview because he's going to be asked more specifically about certain characters in the movement that are trying to, quote unquote, hijack Charlie's legacy by telling the truth. And remarkably, he is going to work, I swear, he's going to work in his book again. Take a listen.
Precisely as you mentioned, there have been people who like Ian Carroll, and it pains me to mention her name, Candace Owens, because I know how close she was and maybe still is to Charlie. But at the end of the day, she's chosen to hijack his death right now to blame it on Israel. I mean, it's just so disturbing. But then you have the people who are sort of a bit more in the middle. Maybe I wouldn't even say in the middle, but they're teetering a bit. The Megyn Kellys and the Michael Knowles and others kind of in this in-between. What do you think's going on there with them?
Yeah, look, I mean, we can talk about every commentator one by one, but I think it's kind of easier to make a few kind of generalizations, right? I think a lot of folks are kind of just trying to take their commentary to where they see the perceived momentum, especially among the younger generation there. But so I think a lot of it is trying to kind of, stick your finger in the wind and try to see, where Gen Z is. And also really, I mean, above all, see kind of just where the Twitter algorithms are right now. I mean, it's very hard to look at someone like, let's take Matt Gaetz, okay? Matt Gaetz was a former Republican congressman from Florida. Now he hosts a show on One American News. Matt Gaetz and I were very friendly for a while, okay? He had me on his show back in March when my book came out. Ollie, he referred to my book as a battle map to save Western civilization. It was an extraordinarily kind segment. He was asking very intelligent questions. He clearly had read the book. He was engaging with the material in it there. And a few months later, he's talking about Jewish supremacy, a term that has kind of like Der Stürmer origins. And he's had all sorts of horrible guests. I mean, does someone like that actually flip that quickly based on literally from March to June or July? No, of course not. I mean, it defies common sense. It defies reality. That's obviously not what's happening there. I think it's just profound cynicism. It's trying to kind of just play for clicks, play for money, and trying to kind of generate some viral clips to appease a small but very vocal and very online segment of the American right and of the American internet user base there.
I just love that he doesn't even blink as he goes from promoting his book again to then accusing people of wanting money. It's just incredible as he's completely grifting off of Charlie's death by trying to promote his book as like Charlie's last wish. It's really amazing. Also, why does Michael Knowles randomly catch a stray? Like, what's Michael Knowles been up to that he's like now on their list? Michael Knowles, Megyn Kelly, they're listing them. That's coming next. Okay. Inevitably, it comes inward. And I just want to be clear in case what he's saying is not registering to you correctly. So white men, to the extent that you are willing to get out there and work to serve really his book, sell his book, to serve his interests, which are very clearly Israel, you're cool. No one's going to call you an anti-Semite. Everything can be cool. To the extent that you, I don't know, maybe don't want to do that, you will be ruined. Matt Gaetz, what was he thinking?
Okay, so what is she doing over here, Candace Owens? She is accusing, this is the accusation number 2. Accusation number 1 towards Josh Hammer. You tweeted about execution and Charlie got executed. That has been disproven. That was not the context. When he was retweeting that, it was within the context. She hasn't walked back. Accusation number 2. Josh Hammer is plugging his book so that he can enrich himself over the death of Charlie Kirk. But when you listen to what he's saying, he's talking about his book within the context of the conversation that they're having. Okay? And Charlie Kirk told him, like, you know what? When people come in, I'm just going to, tell them to read your book, right? That's what Charlie Kirk told him. So even if, let's grant that Josh Hammer is lying, we cannot verify that because Charlie Kirk is gone. But he's actually said, no, this is actually what happened, right? Because he was the last, one of the last person who actually had a conversation with Charlie Kirk. So, but nevertheless, Candace Owens is still laying on his feet that you are profiting off Charlie Kirk's death. Guys, we're talking about Candace Owens over here, talk about the pot calling a kettle black. This is it. If anything, if there's been a person who has been grifting off Charlie Kirk, it's none other than Candace Owens, guys. Okay? Because she's the one who's driving these conspiracies. Okay? And now everybody's talking about her. So, this is what the algorithm loves. And she has not produced a single evidence because all she's out here tinting the jury pool, by the way, okay? Somebody else did it. It was the military, it was the Russians, it's the Macron, anybody but the actual person. And remember, she's been saying she actually had the information, but she was sitting under the information, waiting for something to happen, and then she can bring it back. If somebody who's actually a true journalist, okay, they're going to present their case, and then they're going to provide the evidence to support their theory, to support their case, whatever else they're saying. That's not what this woman does. She's going to insinuate, she's going to do all these other things and make you wait for her like a piecemeal here. Meanwhile, she's racking it up. Not only that, there's analytics, right? Whenever you do this type of content and everything, and somebody had tweeted like just her doing this, where she's been with about Charlie, issue. Allegedly, she has made over $1.3 million. That's how much money this woman has pocketed, allegedly. Okay, but I trust those numbers. So she's out here talking about someone else as far as the book is concerned. What is not in dispute, the numbers on the analytics is her numbers were just like, flat. Once she started talking about this, they went off the roof. They skyrocketed. So she's still, as you can see right here, she has her Tumblr. Okay? So she's selling the merchandise. Talking about what? She's talking about Charlie Kirk. Not only that, she has sponsors that she keeps talking about whenever she's doing her program. So is Candace Owens making money talking about Charlie Kirk's death? The answer is absolutely yes, she is making money. So she is also profiting over Charlie Kirk. So why is she out here hurting on Josh Hammer, profiting on Charlie Kirk's death? She's also doing the same thing. If that's what Josh Hammer is doing, right? Candace Owens is also doing the same thing. So why are you accusing Josh Hammer about it? Not only that, even previously, she actually said, no, if people are out here bringing information about it, have at it. But because it's Josh Hammer, no, all of a sudden, you're profiting off Charlie Kirk. And if Candace Owens is serious about people profiting off Charlie Kirk's death, let's just go back to Turning Point USA themselves. What were they doing? They were fundraising for it before Charlie Kirk was even buried. They were doing fundraising. They were raising money at Turning Point USA. They were sending out emails, we're not going to forget Charlie, this, right? They were fundraising. So did Turning Point USA also profit over their founder, Charlie Kirk, during this situation? The answer is yes. That cannot be disputed. So where is Candace Owens pointing out at Turning Point USA for profiting off Charlie Kirk? Did she say anything about that? No, she didn't. Do I have a problem them fundraising over that issue? No, I personally don't have. I know there's some politics involved with this issue. As they say, you know what? Do not let any tragedy go to waste. So this is her trying to accuse this, Josh Hammer of having something to do with the death of Charlie Kirk without her producing any receipts while she's out here doing the same exact thing. So she is very manipulative and she's very good at that. So let's watch this and then we're going to go to Josh Hammer, how he responded to all this. Okay, here we go.
Easy. Like, what on earth was Matt Gaetz thinking? It was great when he was out there pitching Josh Hammer's book, and now he can't be saved. But then, and this is where it gets important, Josh Hammer gets even more specific, addressing the question if Charlie was beginning to crack on his support for Israel. Let's not forget, we already know the answer to this is yes. So looking at this hindsight 2020 really is something. Take a listen.
If he if he was going in a direction that Candace Owens and others say he was going in, very, very simple point. Would he have had on me and our friend Rabbi Pesach Walicki literally the night before his death to spend an entire hour talking about how to respond to anti-Israel talking points? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It literally simply does not make sense. His heart was absolutely in the right place. Again, he was trying to navigate kind of some very choppy waters, though.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. Charlie was just on the phone looking for talking points, trying to navigate some choppy waters with how he was going to address these kids that had some questions about Israel. He was unflinching, but he gratefully had Josh Hammer's book and wanted to go through it and make sure that he remembered everything. Now, This is probably also a great time, referring to that little conference call they had, whatever, it was a Zoom call, to tell you that that Rabbi Walicki, was also on the now infamous text chain. So this means that both of those individuals knew exactly where Charlie was at on the topic of Israel and how he felt leading up to that moment of his death. And again, like I said, 2 weeks before that, in the Hamptons, they knew where he was at. Tucker Carlson told you the truth on his stance on Bibi Netanyahu. Nobody wants to address or answer the question of whether or not, when Bibi Netanyahu invited him to Israel, what the context was of that. Do you think that guy who's fighting a 140,000 front war because he keeps picking fights and pretending he's a victim really just has time to pick up the phone and shoot the breeze with Charlie Kirk, whose number, according to the released letter, he didn't even have in May? So what's he calling him about? They obviously weren't close if he didn't have his number, okay? So what's he calling Charlie about? Why is he inviting Charlie to Israel 2 weeks before he dies, right? Nobody will address that. Charlie said no. He did. He said no. He didn't flinch. He wasn't even flinching. He was just busy and couldn't make it out to Israel or something. Now, I will say that regarding Rabbi Walicki, I think he has more of a conscience and soul than Josh Hammer. I haven't seen him promoting his book. He doesn't lie as audaciously and as repeatedly and tweets nearly as neurotically as Josh Hammer does. But I want you to listen to what he had to say when asked whether or not Charlie was turning on Israel. Give us our hindsight 2020, Rabbi Walicki.
The wild conspiracy theories online on social media claiming that Israel and the Mossad are behind the assassination of Charlie Kirk because he was turning on Israel. Now, you spoke to him just hours before his death. Did you feel that that was the case, that he was in fact turning on Israel?
Look, Lidar, I was in touch with Charlie on an almost daily basis for months, and he certainly had some disagreements with Israeli policy, and he criticized Israel where he felt appropriate. He sometimes believed things, like a lot of people do, that are out there in the media, and that was really the substance of our relationship, was checking on things and finding out the truth. But that doesn't mean that he was immune to the negative sentiments that were out there, and there were a lot of people around him in the America First movement who were actively working on him to try to get him to turn on Israel. But the real answer to your question is the meeting that I had with him. And the entire purpose of the meeting, called by Charlie called this meeting, and it was on our schedule for weeks, was that he was going out on a campus tour. Utah was the first stop on his new campus tour. And what a lot of people in Israel do not realize, or in the pro-Israel community do not realize, is that between 40 and 50% of all of the questions and challenges that he would get on these campus tours were usually about Israel. Because the campuses, of course, have a lot of anti-Israel sentiment, and Charlie was known as a supporter of Israel. So he ended up being in a position where he was defending Israel all the time. And it drove him crazy because he wanted to talk about America, but he was defending Israel all the time. So in preparation for this new campus tour, he called a meeting of a few people that he trusted to talk about Israel issues and to anticipate the questions that he would be getting, the challenges that he would be getting on this campus tour, and to make sure that he had the truth and that he could formulate answers that he was comfortable with. If Charlie had turned on Israel, why would he even bother with a meeting like that? Why would he call a meeting with a few pro-Israel friends of his to talk through Israel issues, to make sure that his facts were straight and his talking points were straight so that he could defend Israel better? If he was turning on Israel, he would have had Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson in the meeting planning to throw Israel under the bus. The entire premise of the meeting refutes that theory.
How are you feeling about that? Now that you know that Charlie actually mentioned both Tucker and Candace 48 hours earlier as they were trying to do what they always do, which is control who he's allowed to speak to, control who I was allowed to speak to about.
Oh my gosh, man. Charlie Kirk, why did you mention Candace Owens in that chat? Huh? This is the smoking gun that Candace Owens is just, we're never going to stop to hear about this. Other people say, you know what? Charlie Kirk just mentioned Candace there as a throwaway. You know what? They don't want me to have Tucker Carlson. Well, I might as well add Candace Owens to it, right? In the midst of frustration. So even if Charlie Kirk was abandoning the pro-Israel issue, he never lived to fulfill that. Up until he died, everything that led up to him dying, everything that's there, it's him supporting Israel. And that cannot be disputed. If Charlie Kirk had changed his mind, he was going to walk away from the pro-Israel. He never lived to fulfill that. So Candace Owens is acting like, Charlie had abandoned the pro-Israel issue. No, that's actually a very good point. If he had abandoned the pro-Israel issue, why was he having this meeting with, the small trusted people? Because you had Josh Hammer on that chat who happens to be Jewish. You had this rabbi on that chat who happens also to be Jewish as well. So, yeah, that's actually a very good point. But however you want to cut the cake, even if Charlie Kirk was going to leave the pro-Israel situation, does that mean that the Israelis are the ones who killed Charlie Kirk? If anything, why would they be killing Charlie Kirk instead of them killing Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson? Because they're the ones who are anti-Israel to a core. You know what I mean? So they'll be the ones on the top of the list than Charlie Kirk. So, but she keeps on, she's feeding people this narrative over and over and over again. You just stop and think. Okay, Charlie Kirk left the pro-Israel. Now show me the proof that the Israelis are the ones who killed Charlie Kirk. If they're not the ones who killed Charlie Kirk, why are we having this discussion? That's it. He was an American. Okay? If he wanted to leave, he could have left. He was so frustrated with the donors. The donors will be like, if we're supporting you, we don't want the people we don't want on the stage. If you're going to take my money, you're going to do whatever I want. If you don't want, I'm pulling my funding. That's not a crime. But should have you believe that that was a crime. Okay? So this is going to Josh Hammer. So now let's go to, this is actually the tweet that took place between Josh Hammer and Charlie Kirk, because they had a Zoom call, okay? So this is, Charlie is the one who did this, right? So as you can see over here, Zoom link for 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time meeting. Charlie Kirk, thank you for your help today, guys, at 7:50. And this is Charlie Kirk. Thank you for the help today, guys. Good luck as the campus visit starts. Don't hesitate to let me know or any of us know how I or we can help. What's your first stop tomorrow, by the way? So this is Josh Hammer asking like, okay, what's your first stop, by the way, right? And responded, honored to be of assistance at 8:58. And then Charlie Kirk responded, Utah Valley University. And somebody, put a thumbs up. And they put there, say hi to your Antifa friends at 11:40. And then Charlie Kirk responded with it, praying hands. So this is Josh Hammer, right? So if Charlie Kirk had abandoned this pro-Israel agenda and everything else, why is he on this chart with Josh Hammer, who happens to be Jewish? And this is supposedly the one who had something to do with his demise. Why did they actually wait for him to go to Utah Valley? They have his number. Obviously, they know where he lives. They're in touch with him. Okay? Guys, if you follow what the Mossad, they do over there, they know how to, if they want to assassinate somebody, they will do it. It's not going to be sloppy. Okay? And you won't know that they've done it. So I don't understand why this lady keeps implicating people who have nothing to do with this issue. So Josh Hammer has responded. Oh, let's take care of the comments real quick, guys. I was in the zone out here, okay? Leslie, what happened? Well, we are continuing. You didn't miss anything. Anytime you join in, you know exactly where this thing is going, okay? DH, grace and peace. Good to see you, okay? Donovan, good evening, everyone. Thank you. Reform Tarzan, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. All right, guys. So now let's listen in to what Josh Hammer had to say as it relates to Candace Owens, okay? This implication that is going on. I was actually even hearing rumors, some people are actually telling him, you know what? You need to sue Candace because this is too much. But he's a lawyer, so he should be able to know what can hold up in a court, okay? Because she's very good at not implicating herself, because she'll take her audience to the water so that, she'll take her audience to the water, you know what I mean? Like, she'll put the Kool-Aid on the table, you know what I mean? Very close to her audience's mouth, but she doesn't make them drink. So it's so much is so close, the Kool-Aid looks good, smells good, that her audience just drinks it up. So she's very good at that. So she goes way too close to the line. But, she just falls short. But the Macrons are coming for her big time. So we have their case. I'll show you shortly. Okay, so let's hear what Josh Hammer had to say.
Text. Candace Owens, the one-time Turning Point USA protege, the one-time PragerU personality, one-time Daily Wire podcaster turned outright mental patient. Candace Owens had acquired screenshots of a group chat that I had been in with Charlie Kirk and a handful of others. And all this is going down in the literally final 15, 20 minutes before I powered down my phone for about 49 to 50 hours or so. So on Wednesday evening, the holiday ends, I turn my phone back on. And lo and behold, I turn my phone back on to see that I am at the epicenter of an insane Candace Owens neo-Nazi conspiracy theory. Candace Owens doubling down on now a month-long of lunatic allegations that the Jewish people, the Jews, the state of Israel, all the above, individual Jews, collective Jews, Jewish nation, whatever, just Jews in general, had something to do with the horrific assassination of my friend, Charlie Kirk. Again, the juxtaposition, I think, before we get into details here, the juxtaposition to me is striking. Again, this happened right on the eve, in the closing minutes before the holiday of Sukkot, a holiday where we are commanded, again, to be happy. We take these ceremonial plants, we call it the lulav, the etrog, we shake it, we dwell in huts, there is food, there is alcohol. We're celebrating. I'm Yisrael Chai, as it says. The Jewish people live, the nation of Israel lives. How do we live? Why do we live? Because we have our community, we have our rejoicing, we have our God, and we have our Bible. And while we were rejoicing, while I was rejoicing with my wife and our beautiful daughter, this demonic figure was dragging me through the mud like never before, alleging that I had some sort of potential foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk's horrific assassination. The specific screenshot in question shows the day before Charlie Kirk's murder, shows Charlie not happy that a major $2 million donation to Turning Point USA from a prominent Jewish donor had been pulled. And Charlie was not happy about it. He was blowing off steam in the confines of a private chat. He was saying they're going to force me to abandon the pro-Israel cause. He was saying things that people say when they're upset, when they're blowing off steam among friends in a private setting. But as the great Dennis Prager once said, especially for someone who is a public-facing figure, you judge that person not by what he or she says in private, not by what he or she thinks in private, or mulls within the confines of the four doors of his home or his office. You judge that public-facing person by what he affirmatively does and how he acts. Charlie Kirk was blowing off steam that day around 3:30 to 4 p.m. on what proved to be the final 3:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern time of his life that he would ever experience on Tuesday, September 9th. But just 2 hours after that, from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern time that evening, as has already been reported, the New York Post was all over this story. Other outlets, I've talked about it on my show, The Josh Hammer Show. We had a Zoom call 2 hours after Charlie was blowing off steam from having this major Turning Point USA donation pulled. Who organized that Zoom call? Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk and his chief of staff, Mikey McCoy. This Zoom call had 6 of us on it, if memory serves, including yours truly. It was myself, Rabbi Pesach Walicki, who lives in Jerusalem, Charlie, 2 of Charlie's producers, and a 6th person, a Christian theologian, pastor figure of sorts, friend of Charlie. I can't remember his name, neither here nor there. The purpose of this call, this Zoom call from 6 to 7 p.m., the day before Charlie Kirk was tragically murdered, it was the day before Charlie's campus tour began.
Okay, I have to stop it here. You cannot just let things play how they do it over here. So this is Josh Hammer responding to Candace Owens with the accusations that she has laid on Josh Hammer. So yeah, the stuff that they're explaining is just like, okay, Candace, if you're going to be accusing this guy, can you show us the evidence? She hasn't produced any evidence. So these are the people who were actually closer to Charlie Kirk. They are texting, they're in the Zoom call. Where is Candace Owens in all these things? And this idea of she's running with his, like, okay, Charlie had left, right? Notice the tweet says the Jewish donor pulled off funding. Because the Jewish donor pulled off funding, Charlie was like, you know what, they leave me no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause. If the Jewish donor had not pulled the funding, would Charlie Kirk have said that he's abandoning the pro-Israel cause? So was Charlie Kirk leaving because, you know what, they're not gonna give me the money? I'm abandoning their cause as well. You know what I mean? Because there's two reasons why somebody can stop, right? If your ideology has changed, then no amount of money is going to convince you otherwise. Okay? But if it's, if you're enticed by the money, as long as the money is coming, you're there to support that issue, right? So to speak. I'm not saying that he was there to support that issue because of the money, but I'm saying he said that he's leaving the pro-Israel agenda after the Jewish donor had pulled his funding. So if the Jewish donor didn't pull his funding, would he have said that? If you ask me, I don't think he would have said that. So, like, for Candace to be running off this issue, to me, it does not hold any water. Even if you grant that's what he was doing, what does that got to do with him? What does that got to do with him being killed? If you're accusing that the Israelis did it, the Jews did it, which Jews did this issue? Show us the names, show us the receipts, produce the evidence. We'll be out here condemning them. Okay, we'll be out here condemning them. But that's not what we are having over here. So yes, so notice he is also calling her like a demonic figure. Okay, why? Because Candace Owens was the first one who called him that he's a subhuman. That's what Candace said, that this gentleman is subhuman. Oh my goodness, this issue, the stuff is not going well.
When Charlie was killed at Utah Valley University on Wednesday, September 10th, that was the first of what was to be a sprawling, lengthy Turning Point USA fall campus tour. Charlie wanted to make sure that he had the best ammunition, the best arguments when it came to Israel, when it came to the Jewish people, Jewish-Christian relations, when it came to defending the West, defending civilization. That's what Charlie Kirk was passionate about. The WhatsApp chat that we were in together, I didn't start it. Charlie's producers didn't start it. Charlie Kirk started this chat. What did he call it? He named this chat himself, Saving Civilization. It's not an accident that Charlie naturally gravitated towards my own book on this topic, Israel and Civilization, because we both saw this conflict of Judeo-Christian, biblical West versus subjugationist, totalitarian barbarism, most clearly expressed these days by radical Islamism and jihad. We saw this through a civilizational framing. The last time I saw Charlie in person, I signed a copy of that book for him at a retreat in the Hamptons in early August 2025 that Charlie himself appropriately named a Save the West retreat. You get it? The West, civilization. That's how he saw it. That's how I see it. That's how we all saw it in this group chat.
Guys, this is what I'm noticing. Candace Owens, she's jealous of this young man. Why? No, he seems to be everywhere where Charlie Kirk is. And Candace Owens wishes if it was her. Josh Hammer was there at this Hampton retreat that was organized by Charlie Kirk and funded by B. Wackman. Okay? And Josh Hammer was one of the guys at the Turning Point USA during a debate as well. Candace nowhere to be found. And then he's on a Zoom call with Charlie Kirk. And then he's also with Charlie Kirk doing a group chat. So just based off this information, it does show that he was closer to Charlie Kirk than Candace Owens. Because at what point, where are the text messages that Candace Owens can show to the world that Charlie Kirk was texting him, oh, by the way, this person did this person did this. We don't have that. So she is having this information secondhand, okay, from leaked information. She does not have the first-hand information, and yet she claims to be the best friend of Charlie Kirk. Why is she hearing these things from other people, from other sources, if this guy happens to be your best friend? Does that make sense to you guys? Think it through. If this guy is your best friend, Why are you getting information, third, fourth, second-hand information? I'm very surprised. But this is what I'm wondering about this, okay? All this thing that has been going on, she has made accusations, okay? And let me play this. That way you see that even, because Erica Kirk, she's now the CEO, the president of Turning Point USA. And Candace Owens is talking about everybody there. Like, oh, the executives, right? So she's one of the executives over there. So could it be, these are my theories, 3 theories. Number one, either Erica, let me play this and then I'll share my thoughts, okay? Watch.
Her fans and her critics have is that they don't see her as just asking questions, but manufacturing one conspiracy after another based on endless and baseless speculation.
She's always like, I got receipts. Where are the receipts?
I have all these receipts, but I'm not going to publish them.
Now, there is no evidence other than taking Candace's word.
She keeps saying she has receipts, but there's never receipts to come out.
And a lot of her fans have been saying the same thing. The amount of claims that she's made in videos and posts without giving any receipts would take hours to show, as there seems to be several new ones being made nearly every day.
Answer the questions, and I will publish the truth.
And this wouldn't be a problem if she wasn't claiming to be a journalist who's doing an investigation. Good journalism requires for you to provide evidence along with your claims, and the more controversial and accusatory the claim is, the stronger that the evidence should be. But too often, she doesn't provide any direct evidence, tells people to just trust her, or that she has a source that she can't reveal. But even if she can't release the sources so that way the world can decide how credible that her sources are, she can still release the emails or the messages that she got from the source and censor any personal information. Good journalism means that you can be proven right or wrong, but Candace's pattern makes that nearly impossible. She'll strongly connect dots between people or events, strongly insinuate an accusation, and then later deny ever having said it. For example, she says things like this.
Was definitely on the brink of changing some of his perspectives. And I can tell you factually, Charlie was praying the rosary. Charlie was going to mass. One of my last conversations with Charlie was me joking with him saying, just make the last step, speaking about Mary. And typically when those steps start taking place, you stop referring to yourself, as I did, as a Judeo-Christian.
And then later says that she has no idea where people got that idea.
Again, I have no idea who said he was converting to Catholicism. I feel like it's like intentionally misrepresenting what was said.
She also say how she never claimed that Israel was responsible for what happened to Charlie, but constantly makes statements connecting his death to Israel. And maybe even more importantly, being a good journalist requires for you to follow the evidence where it leads, even if that means contradicting your previously held assumptions. But usually when she's provided with evidence that contradicts her claims, she'll either ignore it or claim that it's fake, meaning that there's no way for her to be proven wrong. It's kind of like saying, heads I win and tails you lose. The game is rigged either way. As the quartering put it, her journalism method seems to essentially be 1. Make a wild claim, provide zero evidence, and instead challenge someone else to disprove it. If they ignore it, you claim victory, and if they disprove it, then you get a claim that the evidence is fake. And now that this has been going on for about 4 weeks straight, we're starting to see the fallout from it, and it's not pretty. Netanyahu had to post a video making it clear that he and Israel had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk's murder. TPUSA's leadership and staff was dragged into a public ultimatum while grieving, forced to choose between engaging publicly or looking invasive. Tyler Robinson's trial risks being complicated by viral theories about planted DNA and fabricated confessions, and all it takes is just one single person on the jury to be influenced by Candace's unsubstantiated conspiracy that he was framed, and then Tyler walks away free, even if he's guilty and even if there's a mountain of evidence against him. And the serious insinuations against TPUSA could threaten the source of income for Charlie's widow and his children. And beyond that, Charlie's legacy risks being rewritten, not to mention that the organization that he dedicated his entire life to building is now at risk of having its reputation tarnished, all based on damaging claims without any direct and credible evidence. Think about this. If Candace Owens is wrong, imagine the damage that has been caused from these rumors. And if she's right, then she should provide evidence to substantiate these serious implications. But even if you put aside whether or not Candace is right or wrong, this is what happens when you make strong claims without evidence. Real reputations take damage, real organizations are destabilized, and grieving families watch their loved one's death turned into a battleground for speculation. So, at the time of recording, after 4 weeks, not one of her central claims has direct and credible evidence to verify what she's saying. And maybe some details in the future will emerge, but right now, she's provided mostly rumors rather than receipts, and rumors aren't harmless. They're unconfirmed stories that might contain pieces of truth, but lack factual certainty. We saw in a past video where I talked about the false rumor that my friend Frank Turek was somehow signaling Charlie's shooter. This was based on pure speculation, but it spread everywhere online and could have led to a really terrifying outcome, which is why scripture equates rumors with gossip, strongly warning against spreading them. They rarely highlight good deeds and are almost always negative and damaging to others. And for those of us that are Christians, we should be extremely cautious with how we engage with others and the information that we spread online. These sorts of rumors can distract from mourning and honoring victims. They can turn tragedy into speculation instead of compassion and quarrels instead of witness. Now, we aren't always going to get it right, and sometimes we are going to make mistakes. But we should at least show a genuine effort in trying to get it right and be slow to assume other people's motives. Because after all, if accusations don't require proof, then no one is safe from slander.
You see, he has summed it up so well. But this is not what we're getting from Candace Owens. So this is what I'm saying. She has done quite a lot of things that do warrant a response. So because Erica Kirk, she's now the CEO of Turning Point USA. Either she needs to come out and speak. If she's not going to be the one speaking, she needs to put out a directive, somebody to put out a word. They have a spokesperson of Turning Point and USA. Somebody needs to say something. Candace Owens put out that tweet. They came out to affirm it. So they've opened the doors. So now people are looking to hear. If they don't respond, the conclusion is, so which means what Candace Owens is saying is actually true. Why are they not responding? So if they're not responding, it's still the same thing. Okay, so you're not responding. You're scared to respond to Candace Owens. What's happening? I get it. She's the CEO. She doesn't have to be the one, but the spokesperson has to do. And the answer will be, objection will be like, okay, she's in mourning. She's in mourning. Yes, she's in mourning. But we do know she has made 3 appearances. 2 days after Charlie Kirk died, she spoke to the nation. And she spoke at the memorial. And she went to the studios to speak publicly to the audience, to tell them what's happening with Turning Point USA. So now that it's been almost like a month, Candace Owens is putting out all this information. The jury pool is getting tinted. People are having second thoughts. The damage is being done. Could it be that what Candace is doing, it has the support of Erica Kirk has got no problem with it? Because we know Andrew COVID put out that tweet, that message, and he said that he was happy that it was out there. It was his screen grab. He doesn't know how it ended up with Candace Owens. So could it be they're also, because it was like, I wanted them to investigate something, no stone left unturned. We looked at that message. There was nothing there in that particular message. So could it be that they are okay with what Candace Owens is doing? Because they don't trust the government to find out the truth, but they trust Candace Owens. That's theory number 1. Theory number 2. Could it be that they don't like what she's doing, but they don't want to respond to her? Because the truth is, when you respond to a narcissist, you give them fuel. The best medicine is just to ignore them. It is so hard to resist them because they do things whereby you be like you want to respond, but the best and proven method is not to respond to a narcissist. So could it be that is what they're doing, just ignoring? That's theory number 2. Theory number 3, we do know Candace used to work for Turning Point USA, and when Erica came in the picture, Candace Owens was gone. So could it be that she feels that Turning Point was supposed to be hers and Charlie, and now Erica came in and just enjoyed all the fruits of the labor that Candace Owens had put into Turning Point USA? So now that, Charlie is gone, Candace Owens is just like, you know what? If I could not have Turning Point, you also not going to have Turning Point. So I'm going to do anything, make sure this Turning Point is destroyed. Could it be that? Or could it be, because she keeps saying she was best friend with Charlie Kirk. She doesn't say anything about Erica Kirk. I don't see any relationship with Erica Kirk in any way, shape, or form. Could it be that when she came in the picture, Candace Owens and Erica Kirk, they didn't have a good vibe, a good relationship? This happens as far as women is concerned. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like, okay, okay, she's here, she's with her man. Now you're no longer part of that group and everything. So now this is her turn now, Candace Owens, to return, you know what I mean? To stick it to Erica Kirk. You thought you could have Turning Point. You had Charlie Kirk. I'm coming for you. You know what I mean? But behind the scenes. Because Candace Owens has implicated everybody. Okay? You challenge the executive of Turning Point USA. Who are the executive of Turning Point USA? Who are the executive of Turning Point USA? Why is this woman having the audacity, the confidence to come out publicly and be out here, my best friend, my best friend, my best friend? You could, I'm not saying she shouldn't. You can investigate. You can talk about Charlie. You can do all these other things, right? But to me, she has absolutely crossed the line whereby you be like, okay, is it just about Charlie or there was more to this issue? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, okay, you're fighting for your man over here, Because she actually said, like, if she finds out that Charlie Kirk was being stressed because of this Josh Hammer is going to experience the wrath of Candace Owens. Who speaks like that, guys? Erica should be saying that. If I find out that somebody was bothering my husband, they're going to get it. Erica should be saying that, no Candace Owens. And she's just saying if people are just drinking Kool-Aid, off they're going. Where is the respect of someone else's husband? Where is the respect of Candace Owens of her husband? Which woman, a married woman, is going to come out like this, fight for somebody else's husband? It's none of her business, guys. She's gone way too far. If she's out here saying, I don't trust the Fed, they're doing all this, have at it. No problem. But it's this implication. Remember, she already said there's some financial implications that are going on at Turning Point USA. The money is being misused. Who is misusing the funds at Turning Point USA? Can you show us the paperwork? Can you name names? Can you name names? So you have nothing to do. Turning Point is not yours. Whatever they're doing there, whether they're doing a good way or a bad way, it's none of your business, Candace Owens. Okay? Do we know what's going on with the farmer's business? George Farmer, that's her husband. It's none of our business, guys, okay? However they do their affairs, it's none of our business. But she's way too much intrusive to this situation. I'm very puzzled about it, or about this whole thing. It's getting to a point where it's so inappropriate. It's so inappropriate. And let alone somebody who professes to be, I'm a Catholic, I'm a tried woman, I'm this, I'm that. It's way too much. It's absolutely too much. So for me, I'm just like, okay, at the point whereby I'm like, okay, Erica Kirk, yes, she's the CEO at Turning Point, but at the end of that, she's also a wife, she's also a woman, she's also whatever, If you're not pleased with this issue, I'm sorry, because like, Howard might shut up this woman. I'll just be like, excuse me, please stop talking about my man. That's it. So does Candace Owens have the blessing of Erica Kirk? If she has the blessing of Erica Kirk, there's nothing we can do about it, guys. Okay? That's the wife? Okay, no problem. But if she doesn't have the blessing of the wife, she's doing way too much for a married woman. Dare I say that? We got a super chat. Thank you, Red Brown. I appreciate that. Okay. Oh, the rabbit hole is getting deeper indeed. Yes. Hopefully we should be able to come up. Okay. Because right now we are deep. Okay. We are deep. We are deep. Way deep right now, guys. Okay. So we are digging deeper, but it is not done. But what are you guys saying? Do you get the point? You know what I know, like some guys might not, I know how guys are just, it's not a big deal, whatever. But ladies, when somebody is checking your man, like, what's happening over here? You know what I mean? Women, they can pick up those things. Guys, they don't see those things. But to me, I'm just like, this is, no, something is not right. Something is not right. So this is also how she sets in her investigations, right? She'll put all these implications and you won't know what bites you. So this is Candace Owens. Listen to what she said over here. Is this a person who's pursuing truth? Is this a journalist who speaks like this, who operates like this? Okay, take a look at this.
A February 27th video titled "Breaking My First Prison Phone Call with Harvey Weinstein." She explains it wasn't just her curiosity that got her on board. In this clip, she's describing a conversation she had in 2022.
When I was contacted by a third party, to my shock and surprise, and they asked me if I would just take a look at the Harvey case and if I would maybe be interested in interviewing him.
This sequence of events was completely contradicted by Weinstein, who said in an interview with Page 6, "She approached a friend of mine, and then she approached me." Later, when Owens spoke to Weinstein in 2023, she presented it like this.
And then he says to me, why would I go with you? And he tells me that he's speaking with 3 other people who want to do this interview, who have much better experience and a way further reach than I have, all things that are objectively true. He's making me pitch myself. Like I suddenly felt like I was trying out for the cheerleading team.
Going back to that Page 6 interview, I tried to talk her out of it. Weinstein 72 said of her defending him publicly, but I've never seen anything like it. The woman is going to be a superstar. I'm not entirely sure which of these 2 people are telling the truth. Possibly neither of them are. Regardless, this whole series from the get-go seems less a sober appraisal of the case and rather something birthed with the attempt to exonerate Harvey Weinstein and undermine the Me Too movement more broadly.
I've never changed my stance on the Me Too movement, and this is perhaps why this third-party individual sought me out.
We were promised that the series would be really explosive and include important revelations, but instead, what we got was little more than a rehashing of evidence that was litigated years ago, paying special attention to transcripts from the Weinstein trial, and they narrowly focus on the testimonies of 2 of Harvey Weinstein's accusers at his New York trial.
Okay, so I was showing you that way you can see her pattern, okay? She is the one who is approaching, Harvey Weinstein is in jail, so it's up to you to believe whosoever you want to believe. But to me, I'm thinking, Harvey Weinstein, right? Big guy in Hollywood. Why would he be contacting Candace Owens? Everybody knows Candace Owens is a conservative, is a MAGA and everything. It does not make any sense, okay? If anything, he would be wanting big news, right? CNN, New York Post, all this. Like, this guy was a big dog in Hollywood. Why would he be looking for Candace Owens? So I personally believe Candace Owens is the one who initiated this. But she's coming out here pretending like, I have a Weinstein. They are the one who approached me to do this interview. You can either believe, you can make up your mind. But given how she's done things, I personally incline that she was the one who initiated this, okay? But she wants to come out here like she wasn't the one who initiated this, given her track record. And this is what she said, okay? This is Candace Owens, the journalist, okay? The BFF to Charlie Kirk. Watch this.
Not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am somebody who has left the cult of easy book. Oh my gosh, what does this mean about our government? It's corrupt. It's like talking to my family on the phone.
This is a big part of her appeal. She has this very loose, friendly way of speaking, and it makes her feel very authentic, a huge plus in this space. She's also good at guiding her audience towards certain reactions, but she does it in a way that is deeply manipulative, because one of the things I noticed most about her show is that it's less about trying to analyze news stories and more about cultivating a way to feel about these stories. Here's an example of how she tries to undermine science.
I'm not a flat earther. I'm not a round earther. Actually, what I am somebody who has left the cult of science. I have left the mega church of science, because what I have now realized is that science, what it is actually, if you think about it, is a pagan faith.
She then goes on to offer an example of how a woman who...
Yes, guys, science is a pagan faith. There's Scientology. I don't care, whatever you want to think about science. But the question is the earth round or is the earth flat? Either it's round or it's flat. But Candace, as educated as she is, she's it's nothing. She does not believe that the earth is flat or it's round because that's science, it's paganism. Like, what are we doing here? Things that are just there as a matter of fact. But, you see how she presents it? So that people can be, like, why are you just deceiving people for the sake of deceiving people? How is this helpful to anybody? It's not helpful to anybody. But this is how she operates. So it's just like, you know what? It's very tiring, to say the least. All right, so let's get back to our video of her here. Okay, all right, guys. Whoa, Salma Katz, Samantha Katz. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. All right, let's take a look at this one. What was this clip saying? Okay. Because people have done a good job finding some of the stuff that she's been saying over here and just presented in the nuggets. So watch this. All right.
You have to be someone that is, or maybe rather someone that is possessed by something that is less than human, subhuman, to do that. There's no humanity in you. That is why I named Josh Hammer. I believe he is a deeply disturbed man. Filth. Okay? Absolute filth. I don't understand it. I can't comprehend it. Whatever that is that lives in him does not live in me. There's no truth in him. Obviously, there's no truth in Josh Hammer. I know we won't get answers from you, but let me promise you that if I get a text message to the effect that you were somehow involved in him feeling anxiety the day before, if you did something that gave him anxiety in that way, I will release it instantly. There will be no place that you can hide. You have to be someone that is.
So that's Candace, right? Saying that Josh Hammer is nothing but filth. He's subhuman. There's no truth in Josh Hammer, but there's truth in Candace Owens. Man, you cannot make this stuff up, guys. Okay? You cannot make this stuff up. Okay? All right. So let's continue with her. All right. Here we.
And somebody was saying, what if what you're doing destroys Turning Point USA? And I said, you know what? This is what I always say. If the truth is capable of destroying your company, the truth, then does your company deserve to exist? Think about that. If people learn the truth about how Candace Owens treats her employees, Candace Owens isn't going to have a career. If people learn the truth about what Candace Owens does in the weekends, it will destroy her career. That probably means that you're not a good person or you're not a good company if the truth is a threat to you. I've heard this argument over and over. I've never been fearful, and obviously I'm kind of constantly going through a public x-ray of my life, people examining. I'm never fearful because I think I'm a decent person, right? I live honorably. Do I make mistakes? Yes, I own my mistakes immediately. And I will be very quick to apologize to people when I get things wrong. But I'm not an evil person, nowhere near an evil person. And I always try to be honest.
Yes, she always tries to be honest. She's not what? She's not an evil person. That's what she calls herself, guys. So let's take a look at what has befallen her, okay? Because the Macrons, okay, Brigitte Macron and the Prime Minister of France are coming for her, okay? I'll leave a link for this lawsuit. You can read it. It's 250 pages. They have amended it. So it says over here, we're not going to, no, don't worry, don't panic. We're not going to read 250 pages. But it's actually very interesting. It will actually be good to go through it. Because the way they have filed this case, guys. Hey! So this says, okay, in the Superior Court of the State of Delaware, okay? So Candace Owens' business are registered in Delaware. She lives in Nashville. So, and this is what it says. Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron, plaintiffs, versus Candace Owens LLC, and George Tom Inc., defendants. And jury trial demanded. So they're not playing games. They are demanding jury trial. And so what are they coming after? So remember law school, enter valid, Berea Babes Law School here, guys, okay? Come with me to this rabbit hole. So remember Donald Trump sued, let's go to Fox, right? Fox News was sued because of what Tucker Carlson said, right? So because Tucker was the one on Fox, it didn't have to be Tucker Carlson paying from his pocket, but it had to be Fox News paying. And they ended up paying. The same thing what Donald Trump did to ABC, right? One of the guys, defamed him. So it wasn't him paying from his pocket, it was the company. So this is what the Macrons have done, which is very genius. So they have Candace Owens as the person, but also Candace Owens as the company that Candace Owens is representing. That way, if Candace Owens can survive this issue as a human being, as a person, her company will still have to cough up. And if that is not all, George Tom Inc., boo, we might as well add George Tom Inc. to it. Okay? So that's how they're coming for her. So that's it. They're suing all this. Okay? So they have actually amended this complaint. Jury trial demanded is, 200 and something pages. So the way they filed this issue, everything they have accused Candace Owens with, they have actually just provided the evidence for it. Okay? So they've provided the pictures of Candace Owens. The day she was saying what she was saying, the tweet, the copies of the tweet in vivid color, pictures, the time, everything is already there. And then the Macrons have provided, picture evidence, like, oh, this is Bridget when she was born. This is Bridget when she got married. These are her kids and everything. So they're demanding jury trial because, look this up. In March, Candace Owens, a right-wing podcast, told the world she would stake her entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron, the first lady of France, is in fact a man. Close quote. Since then, Owens has used this false statement to promote her independent platform to gain notoriety. Okay? So this is what they come, straightforward. And this is exactly what Candace said. And they actually have the tweet where she actually said that. And they've included it in this filing. So this lady, there's no way to run. Okay? So this is what it says. Owen is a far-right conspiracy theorist who thrives on making outrageous claims, prioritizing shock value and follower growth over truth or responsible discourse. Okay? So that statement alone, if you go, you know what I mean, the analytics of Candace's channel and everything, it's undisputed fact. Her channel went over the roof as far as money, viewers, subscribers is concerned when she was talking about what? The Macrons, the Brigitte Macron. So even her money, whatever she made, actually backs that up, okay? That's why they put that there. So they'll be able to demonstrate, like, oh no, she was already doing this. But the minute she started talking about us, look what happened to her. Okay? So now, even this case, the Charlie Kirk situation, right? They can even reference to that issue, like, okay, she has said all these other things. Okay, all these other people that she's accusing. If I'm a lawyer, you can use those people as an example. I'll even bring Josh Ham over there on the stand. Were you accused by Candace Owens as a person who executed Charlie Kirk? Yes or no? You see where this thing is going? Huh? So there is enough evidence there for them to prove that she does promote these conspiracy theories, and these conspiracy theories are benefiting her financially. That's why she's so stressed. She actually said that, oh, people are suing me, they are coming for me, and everything. So much so that she has activated, as they call it. They call this one insurance policy. Okay? So she has insurance policy. That's what she said. So what she has in this insurance policy is she has sent out a package, okay? Her package. This is her. She said this herself. Where if something happens to her, Andrew Tate, Max Blumenthal, and other people will be able to, what do they call it? They'll be able to know what has happened to her. And they can put out this information publicly, okay? They can put it all out. That's what she has put out. Okay? So it's like, okay, this stuff is getting crazy. So watch this is what she said herself, okay? So this is what she said. Where is Twitter right here? All right. Why is it? Let's try this. Okay, there you go. So this is Candace, okay? Expanding the network, Ted Brothers, Dave Smith, Max Blumenthal, Tucker Carlson, Mel, and more will have legal files and personal text messages related to my time at Turning Point, PragerU, and the Daily Wire, plus my private conversations with people like Seth Dillon and Dave Rubin, okay? So Dave Rubin is also a Jew, by the way. Okay, Seth Dillon, this is the guy of Babylon B, the owner of Babylon B. These people have explicit permission to release everything publicly if anything happens to me. Charlie's death and the audacity of the people like Josh Hammer eulogizing him means we must all share information and let the truth rise up like a lion. So this is Candace Owens here initiating her insurance policy. Notice putting Josh Hammer. Josh Hammer is also a Jew, by the way. Josh Hammer was actually closer to Charlie Kirk than Candace Owens. So was it wrong for him to eulogize his friend? No. Nick Fuentes eulogized Charlie Kirk, okay? And dare I say, believe it or not, even when Nick Fuentes did that, he actually took a day off not to do any social media stuff in honor of Charlie Kirk. He wasn't friends, by the way, you know what I mean? They were ideological, they were the opposites. But he did that, and when he did the program, he actually honored him and, said something that was actually sensible, if you can believe it. People to cool down and everything, and he didn't even, he never read his super chats. He didn't monetize that. So if Nick Fuentes can actually do this, and Candace Owens out here accusing other people, and now he's saying Josh Hammer was eulogizing Charlie Kirk. Like, why saying he was friends? You know what I mean? People who are not friends with him actually did the same thing. And besides, even if they did that, it's not Candace Owens' place to decide who can say good things about Charlie Kirk. Let Erica Kega be doing that. Like, I don't know why you're saying this, that, and the third about my husband. Who is Candace Owens to be dictating who says this, who says good things about Charlie Kirk after he has died? You see, she is acting like she's a widow. She is acting like she's the one who is the widow, not Erica Kirk, guys. Okay? If you didn't know anything, you'd think, like, oh, that was your husband. You think that's the situation. So this is where she's going. So, like, yes, so the Macrons, they are not playing. They are done with her. So we'll see what's going to happen in a court of law, okay? Innocent until proven guilty. They have laid their case and they've presented it, okay? If you ask me, I just don't see how she's going to be able to survive this lawsuit. And yes, it's going to cost millions because they can afford the best lawyer money can buy as far as they're concerned. So which means she also needs to lawyer up big time. But she was already asking the lawyers to dismiss the case. And yet she said that, oh, I wasn't going to move them to dismiss the case. No, the Macrons are demanding a jury trial. So yeah, Candace, and you think she's learned something? No, nothing. She continues to double down. The last live that we did, she actually said at the end, if she can find Bridget Macron's manhood, she is also going to find who killed Charlie Kirk. But we do know there's somebody in custody. There's somebody who's been charged. The investigation is going on. He is also innocent until proven guilty. So right now, whether we like it or not, we have no choice. The authorities are investigating, whether we like them or not, but that's how the system works. So they're going to go to the court of law and the truth is going to be examined. But while she's out here, if Turning Point has to take a nosedive because Lady Candace is about to unearth the truth, so be it. So she's out here. And what evidence did she ever produce that Brigitte Macron, okay, happens to be male? Because they say they are going to provide biological and scientific evidence. We do know Bruce Jenner, if they run Bruce Jenner's DNA, it's not going to be Caitlyn Jenner. It's going to be Bruce Jenner. So Brigitte Macron, if they run her DNA, you know what I mean? Yes. So I cannot wait to see Candace Owens disputing the DNA results. Oh, guys, you are in for a treat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is good to see you guys. Thank you for being here. All right, Jennifer. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, let us continue with the rabbit hole, okay? So far, in case you know, what have we established so far? Candace Owens implicates people without evidence. And we've seen what she's done with Josh Hammer. So that makes her to be a deceiver. She's deceiving people. So now people should be looking at other people sideways without proof, without evidence. She is invoking suspicions So when people look at Josh Hammer, now you're going to be suspicious of him. So this week is Josh Hammer, okay? I wonder who is going to be next week. She demanded Bibi, the Prime Minister of Israel, to produce the letter. The Prime Minister produced the letter. And what did she say? And did she walk back? Nothing. She just carried on as if nothing happened. The letter disputed what she was saying. Now she's hanging on to the dear life that Charlie Kirk was going to leave the pro-Israel agenda. Even if that is true, who killed Charlie Kirk? Does that mean Israel killed Charlie Kirk? Where is the evidence? Nothing. Nada. Absolutely. So either Turning Point is 100% behind Candace Owens or they are not. Oh, and by the way, they already put out the Kirk family. They're planning to sue individuals as well as media platforms after the death of Charlie Kirk. So who are these individuals who are going to be at the end of this lawsuit? I have no idea. Okay? But that's what they say, and that's as a matter of a public record. So, but let us continue with the rabbit hole over here, guys. Okay? So hopefully we are, as we are going along, we are disputing these things. Okay? So, but I want you guys, let's take, because all these other things, right? Our worldview is the biblical worldview. We know she's taken so many people captive. So our prayer, we want those people to open their eyes. You know what I mean? Like, you remember, in the beginning was the word, right? Logic. Okay? Like, God is the God of order. He's not a God of confusion. Okay? Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the embodiment of truth. There is no truth without God. He is the measuring of truth. You know that something is wrong by what standard? Because God has spoken. So lies, gossip, all these other things, false accusation without providing evidence is actually sinful. So we don't want to do that. But we know that we have Candace Owens, who told us publicly that she had a dream. What does the Bible say about this issue? Okay? Because this is where we rise and fall with the scriptures. Deuteronomy 13 verse 1. If a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, so Candace is a dreamer of dreams here, arises among you and gives you a sign or a wonder, and the sign or wonder that tells you comes to pass, and if he says, let us go after other gods, which you have not known, let us save them, you shall not listen to the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams, or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God is testing you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul. So, if you're out here drinking the Kool-Aid, that she received a dream, Charlie appeared to her in a dream, and she's out here, all this is on the basis of dreams. And the good Lord has told us this is testing you to see where else you're going to go, because that is witchcraft, that is necromancy, which is an abomination to God. God does not need to send Charlie Kirk to go and tell Candace Owens that she was betrayed. God knows. Did God know that was going to be the last day of Charlie Kirk? Absolutely, he did. Okay? He is the one who has numbered our days. So he's not surprised by what happens here. He knows exactly what happened. He's not surprised by it. But that is a lesson for us to learn. So when we're out here being taken captive by this Candace Owens with zero evidence, it's a shame. It's a shame. So no. Or whatever the dream that she was dreaming, do not fear, do not panic. Okay? They're going to do the investigation. That's it. If somebody is guilty, they're going to be found guilty. The scripture is clear. If that Robinson happens to be innocent, then we want that young man to walk. We want that young man to walk. So if people have real information, real evidence, then they need to bring those things forward. Candace Owens is not a lawyer. She's not a police officer. She's not a spokesperson for the Kirk family. She does not even work for Turning Point USA. She does not represent Turning Point USA, even though she's out here claiming that she's BFF with another woman's husband. Let us not forget that part. So what has also happened to these women? Okay, these are the women, you know what I mean? They are being captured. 2 Timothy 3:6. For among them are these who creep into households and capture weak women, burdened with sins and led astray by various passions, always learning and never to arrive to the knowledge of truth. So yes, she has captured them, okay? She has captured these weak women. No, discernment, just use your logic and your common sense. Do you think, as a woman, as a married woman, is it proper for another married woman to be claiming your husband as the best friend, the way that Candace Owens has been doing? You tell me. I can tell you, there's no female out there who is going to be claiming my husband as her best friend. That is not going to happen. That hasn't happened, and that will never happen. So my question is, Farmer, where are you? George Farmer, where are you? Come get your wife out here. All right, guys, let us continue.
Back when I was within the Zionist movement and waking up and realizing something was dangerously wrong, when they started to try to control my voice, it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable to reflect on that. Now, I would say again, Rabbi Walicki, more of a soul. He's at least acknowledging that something was going on, right? I don't think he would have been comfortable pulling the Josh. He was great. It was amazing. Buy my book, right? He loved every second. He's amazing. Oh my God, he just wished he could have gone over. The one thing that hurt Charlie Kirk the most was that he would never be able to wear an IDF uniform. He just wanted to go fight for Israel. That's kind of the vibes that they were trying to put out there. At least Rabbi Walicki is like, he was under some pressure, okay? He's saying it softly, but he's like, he was kind of needing to have a conversation to say, he's not comfortable answering these questions anymore because he doesn't feel this way anymore. He realizes something is wrong. I told you he was particularly worried that Israel was infringing upon speech in America. I have text messages to that effect. Okay, so there's no undoing that. He was aware that they had lost a PR war and it was weighing on him.
So she says she has text message to that effect. Why can't you just show us the text messages? Show us the text messages. You have the text messages? Just show us the text messages and you keep moving. Why? Because when people come in and question that, oh, she's lying, she doesn't have the text messages, right? Then she's going to produce, and I have the receipts. You are the one who's bringing these accusations. So if you have those text messages, why can't you just show the text messages? Why are you withholding the truth? That's not even biblical. You cannot be withholding the truth. You need to bring it out because you're the one who's saying that. And by the way, she says she has 3 independent evidence that Charlie Kirk said that somebody was going to kill him. They are going to kill me. That's what she said, right? Well, does she have those text messages? Maybe she does have, maybe she doesn't. For now, what she's saying, we should just take her word for it. Okay, we want to take your word for it. Trust but verify. Can you prove? Can you show us the text messages? If she shows us the text messages, we'll be like, okay, she said this and she backed it up, that's fine. But as it is right now, that's just what she's saying. You know, if you want to believe it, you can believe it. If you don't want to disbelieve it, you're fine. Don't forget, she's the same one who's telling us we should be questioning the text messages that came out about Tyra Robinson. She does not believe them at all. But we should just believe her that she has a text message, even though that she hasn't shown us the text messages, so we can analyze them, right? But here she is.
That he was seen, as Rabbi Walicki accurately states, as this person who just defends Israel, especially when what they are doing is so plainly immoral. It was starting to fracture people's viewpoints of Charlie, right? And Charlie, like I said, when he got into this, like when I got into this, we were genuinely pro-Israel. There was not payment that was coming in. Was I ignorant? Yes. I've owned that 1,000 times. I thought it's not a relevant topic. And it makes sense. You know, the low-hanging arguments make sense. Why can't they have their own country? Whatever. My focus was BLM. He was always genuine. And I think, as I've said, he was genuinely over it towards the end because of Jewish behavior. His words, not mine, leaning into the stereotypes of Jewish behavior, okay? He didn't want to be bullied. He was being bullied. They knew that he was being bullied. And yet they want us to believe that less than 48 hours before he died, Charlie announces that. He announces that he has no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause because of Jewish donors and their behavior, living up to these stereotypes. And despite this frustration, 48 hours earlier, the following day, he decided to have that smaller audience with 2 Jewish individuals who were on that chat and were aware that he was angry. But this conversation was not going to be a follow-up or in relation to what he had just expressed hours earlier to them both, but rather he was just like a super fan of Josh's book. He's like, gosh, this book is amazing. I want to get on the phone with the author. What a wonderful opportunity to speak to the author. I love this. Tell me to come up with this idea for the book. I want to hear more. And also, I'd like to strategize on how to deal with the questions that are coming at me using and promoting your book. That's what Josh wants us to believe, at least, right? And then we're supposed to believe that he had that dramatic switch. So he went from, I'm done, to like, hey, love ya. How can I be of more service to you? And then in that exact same day, he was texting people saying they are going to kill me. On the same day that he's on this Zoom call, this is a fact, this night Zoom call, as Josh says, it was at night, or the New York Post reported, I think, right, that it was at night, that at the same time, that same day, he's texting people saying they are going to kill me. And we are supposed to deduce from this that by they, what he really meant was Tyler Robinson. He meant they, them, duh, like a non-binary person or a trans person. They were going to kill him. That was what he had a feeling about. Everything else is just completely irrelevant. He just had a sense, a premonition that a trans person was going to get him. Do you believe that? Do you buy any of that? And I want to say this. I was speaking to somebody earlier about how interesting it is that none of us, and when I'm saying none of us, I'm talking about Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, myself, when we were speaking honestly and accurately about what Charlie was going through and how he was being bullied and how he was under pressure. And Megyn even spoke about it herself, by the way. Megyn, you should probably tell people who those individuals are. We never once said that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. I've never said that because on the basis of the facts that you guys are following on the show, I don't have any evidence of that. It doesn't serve me to make up a narrative that I can't prove, right? Why would I say that? But what I will say is that I am uncomfortable with how many lies.
Do you see, this is what we're talking about, right? You see what she's just done it here. So she says that she's never said that Israel killed Charlie Kirk. She's never said that. She does not have any evidence. She wouldn't say that. But all along, she has insinuated that it's Israel. If you've been following this, that's what she is insinuated. Now, the same thing about Josh Ham, bringing those accusations to Josh Ham. So that's what I'm saying. She'll give you an innuendo. She'll just say, like in a suggestive way without outright saying this particular person did it. Because you would just say, oh, why was Josh Hammer tweeting about execution? And then the next day, Charlie gets executed. Who does that? What is she trying to do? There were other people who talked about execution that day. Why are you only zeroing in on Josh Hammer? Why are you not saying anything about Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump is the one who was the original tweet, and then Josh Hammer just retreated. And he wasn't the only one, by the way, okay? And as far as Charlie Kirk is concerned, right? He spoke a lot about Muslims, okay? The Muslim, the Chinese, and everything. How come the narrative is not like, okay, the Muslims did it, or the Chinese did it, the Russians did it? Why the Jews? Prime Minister of England sent condolences. But Candace Owens had a problem because Bibi, Prime Minister of Israel, was sending condolences. She never said anything about the Prime Minister of UK. So she actually does this, Yes, Sheila. The text messages were absolutely confirmed. They were legit. We did cover that. That's actually true. What the text message does not prove is, it does not prove who killed Charlie, as far as the text message is concerned. And it does not prove that he was going to invite Candace Owens on the stage. Because Candace said she was going to have a reunion on the stage at Turning Point. The message says, I'm thinking of inviting Candace Owens. It didn't say, I'm going to invite Candace Owens. But this is what she's running with. So, yeah, right now, notice what she says, right? 3 people have text messages that Charlie Kirk said that they are going to kill him. So where are these text messages? If she has them, she needs to produce them. And if the text message just says they are going to kill me, the question to ask is, who is they? You see? So even if the text message do exist, right? And it says they are going to kill me, we're still going to be back at square one. Who is they? And Charlie Kirk is not here. So who is they? Can we get the names that are under the representation of the pronoun they? Who is they? Because if you say, okay, the Jews are going to kill me, which Jews? Which Jews? The American Jews? The Israeli? Which Jews? Which ones? There's plenty of them. Oh, the Russians are going to, which Russians? Okay? Is it Putin? Is it the militia? You fill in the blanks. So this is what we're dealing with this lady here. But let us continue.
People that support Israel have been telling in the wake of his death. That has been almost the only compelling argument that Israel had anything to do with it, is the way they're acting right now. Like Bibi Netanyahu, the propaganda, the lies, the coming after Candace Owens. None of this was necessary. Nobody thought when this first happened, this is 100% Israel. 100%. This happened in Mormon country. How come there were no Mormon people, no Mormon presidents coming out and saying, I just want to be clear that we didn't kill Charlie Kirk 24 hours after he died? Because that's what Bibi did. How come there were no Mormon people that started Operation Mormon Pastor or President feeling the need to baselessly attack me? I was actually on the Mormons. I've been on the show calling them out by name, saying who was doing what. Mormons were not offended by that at all, because they want to know if somebody is corrupt and had something to do with this. They want to know if their church was involved in this. That's a normal response. Not to say it definitely wasn't us, but rather to say, I'm on this journey. I want to know who killed Charlie Kirk too. And I'm therefore going to support Candace's efforts to find out. Exact opposite of what Israel is doing, right? That is the one.
Why should they be supporting Candace Owens? Because Candace Owens is going to support to find out. How doesn't she know that those people are out here, they're going to support Erika Kirk to find out who killed her husband? How does she know that? What if Erika Kirk has private investigators sanctioned by her to go to find out what happened to her husband? Why should people support Candace Owens and not support Erika Kirk? Who appointed Candace Owens to be in charge, the fact finder of the person who killed Charlie Kirk? That's not how things work, guys, okay? The state of Utah is going to be the state of Utah against Tyra Robinson. That's how the criminal justice works. It's not going to be even Erika Kirk against Tyra Robinson. It's going to be the state of Utah against Tyra Robinson, because that was a federal crime as well as a state crime. And they are investigating as we speak. But Candace Owens wants to be in charge. She wants to be the jury, the judge, and the whole 9 yards. So even if, let's grant, Candace Owens find a person like this person I have done, how is she going to execute judgment on that particular person? How? She does not have that authority. So this is very interesting.
One disturbing fact about people that support Israel, their behavior, to put it in a way that Charlie put it. Take a little bit of a break here and throw to some of our sponsors. I always tell you guys about Riverbend Ranch because I love their steaks. Black Angus beef, famous for its great flavor. Riverbend.
Okay, so is Candace Owens making money over here while she's talking about Charlie Kirk by sponsoring her, plugging in her sponsorship? While Josh Hammer was also sponsoring his book. So is this okay? Is Candace Owens grifting? Is she making money off this content by getting money from the sponsors? Huh? Oh my goodness, man. Hey, we are in trouble, guys. Yeah? We are in trouble. We are in trouble. Yeah. Oh, yes, of course, politics is involved in all this. But Candace Owens, this is personal. With this lady, this is personal, guys. Okay, let's continue.
At checkout. Okay, first I want to put out, I think cops called an APB. What does it actually stand for, Mark? I'm not a All Points Bulletin. See, you're never too old to learn something. And of course, Mark knew that instantly. All Points Bulletin. Mark has got a lot of random facts about every subject up there in his brain. We're not really sure why. First order of business, I got to put out this All Points Bulletin. I'm looking for footage on UVU campus, some particular footage from people that were there that day. And I want to be real specific here so we don't clog up the inbox, because obviously when you send footage, it's a bigger file. I'm looking for video footage of any older males, any older males that day that have long hair that was up in a ponytail or a bun. So if you're a UVU student or you know someone who was a UVU student, please send this around and ask people to send me their footage. I just want to see footage of men that have their long hair, enough hair that it's up in a ponytail or a bun. There is, of course, a specific reason why I'm asking for that. Also, in me scouring the earth for every piece of footage, there's an almost incomprehensible lack of footage that is coming from the left side of Charlie, meaning if Charlie is facing the crowd, it would be his left side. So we have gone ahead and highlighted for you where I am looking for footage from, okay? I can't find footage from this section. Chris, if you could go back to that first one again too. This section right here, if you were sitting here or go to the next one, all on the side, when the shots rang out or just before, maybe in the 10 minutes before, so I can see who was around or what happened when those shots rang out, it is weird. There's just it's like a black hole cannot get footage of that angle from the front. You're probably going, well, doesn't Turning Point have that footage? Well, Turning Point, as we have learned, is not going to show anybody anything in 4K or in 5K. I think because that would be helpful or something. So we have to do it this way, the organic way, which takes much more time. I do want to say this as well. You can send that, by the way, to tips@CandaceOwens.com.
Look at her. She just throw shade. She just throw shade at Turning Point USA in passing. Okay? Like, yes, Turning Point has the footage, but they know it's going to, it might not help them, so they're not going to give it to Candace Owens. Why should Turning Point give footage to Candace Owens? Why? So let's remember, all this is under investigation. The authorities are investigating, guys. They are not going to share evidence with the public. The evidence is going to be produced during trial. That's how things work. That is how things work. Okay? Things are just not going to change because Candace Owens has shown up on the scene here that she wants to solve this murder case about his BFF. Okay? They're not even going to give this information to Erica Kirk, next of kin. So, yeah, we at this point, whether we like it or not, we just have to wait till we get to trial. That's it. So Candace Owens wants to have a trial yesterday and today and do this. So far, she hasn't produced anything. She has not produced anything at all. We have to wait for the trial and see what happens from there. So if people have whatever evidence it is, it's going to go over there, But if I was a defense attorney, whatever, all this, the jury sitting up, it's good for the defense, Like, I'm actually putting Candace on the stand as one of the witnesses. Let her get it cross-examined. I'm like, you're out here finding all this evidence about someone else's case. Why are you not out here trying to fighting for your own case with the Macrons? Huh? You want people to concentrate on this issue, forgetting that you also have your own legal troubles with Brigitte Macron. Okay? All right. This is yes, Sheila. So I agree with this point because when at the beginning, the crime scene wasn't secured. The director tweeted out they arrested somebody. It was the wrong person. Okay, that information, it is very crucial, but that just shows the incompetence of it. That's why, because the guy is not experienced. He has never served in that role. He has no law enforcement background. It's important. Okay, so you're out there speaking. Like, no, the spokesperson is supposed to do that, not the director. So there are things there that are just like, what's happening here? The defense lawyers are watching. They're seeing all these other things. So when they go to court, they will put up a case because their client is being charged with death penalty. All you need, because for death penalty, you need, the jury have to be unanimous. All you need is just one out of 12. You just need one. Just bring a doubt in one jury out of 12 people, which is absolutely possible to do. Like, oh no, this client, you want my client to be killed? One person, just cast doubt on one person and that's it. So yeah, sometimes these are the things that happen. That's why it's so important to protect the evidence, to make sure everything is done according to law. As a result, you can actually have a guilty person walk because the evidence has been tampered. But even if you don't trust the FBI and everything, I'll be damned to put my eggs in Candace Owens' basket. Sorry. I'll take my chances with the FBI than Candace Owens. All right, we continue.
We also have more tips at CandaceOwens.com. And please just put in the subject line, footage at UVU. That would be very easy. It would help us sort things. We've kind of been cleaning up the inbox. Again, more tips at CandaceOwens.com or tips at CandaceOwens.com. Somebody I was speaking to earlier today was speaking about, the anxiety that Turning Point is going through. I do want to say this first and foremost because I felt this way at previous companies. There are amazing people that work at Turning Point USA, the overwhelming majority of them. And that's what sucks when corporate people at the top take a direction. Those people get no say, right? This investigation is being assisted by Turning Point USA, not the execs, but Turning Point people on the ground, people that they don't even think about, smaller employees. Like, they deeply care about what has happened. They deeply care about finding answers regarding what happened to Charlie Kirk. And so we never want to paint a broad picture that this is Turning Point. So the top is most certainly not the bottom. And somebody was saying, what if this
So who is at the top at Turning Point USA? Does that include Erica Cook at the top? Okay.
What you're doing destroys Turning Point USA. And I said, you know what? This is what I always say. If the truth is capable of destroying your company, the truth, then does your company deserve to exist? Think about that. If I'm like, if people learn the truth about how Candace Owens treats her employees, Candace Owens isn't going to have a career. If people learn the truth about what Candace Owens does in the weekends, it will destroy her career. Like that probably means that you're not a good person or you're not a good company if the truth is a threat to you. I've heard this argument over and over. I've never been fearful. And obviously I'm kind of constantly going through a public x-ray of my life, people examining. I'm never fearful because I think I'm a decent person, right? I live honorably. Do I make mistakes? Yes, I own my mistakes immediately. And I will be very quick to apologize to people when I get things wrong. But I'm not an evil person, nowhere near an evil person. And I always try to be honest. And so do not concern yourselves with people that feel threatened by truth, right? That's ridiculous. Anyway, speaking of which, obviously you can see right now the Zionist lobby hates me and Tucker Carlson. It is like nothing anybody has ever seen in their lives. This past year, they've really upped the ante on trying to destroy me and Tucker Carlson. The hatred is deep, it's sinister, it's evil. And they have sent virtually every foot soldier that they have available to attack us repeatedly. Right? Attack us repeatedly, make videos. People, it's confusing. What is it? Is she lying? Why is she saying this? Is this the right time? It's actually getting quite boring, I think. It's a little boring. I would almost describe their strategy as blitzkrieg. I don't want to be accused of being a Nazi for using these two German words, blitzkrieg, but it has been something like bombardment. And this morning they sent out Dinesh D'Souza after me. It's very, very convincing, by the way. He sent out a tweet to convince people they shouldn't watch me. He said, I can't comment on Candace because it's quite obviously a freak show. It's like driving on the highway and seeing a farmer having sex with a sheep. You don't want to look, but you can't look away either. The problems begin when you try to analyze it. It is what it is. And I love that Yashar Ali replies and says, this is what I mean. These are the people who are supposed to be combating Candace Owens. Instead, they tweet stuff like this. Yeah, hi Dinesh, kind of weird, man. We cannot relate. I got to tell you, if I ever was in this awful scenario where I saw a farmer trying to have sex with a sheep, I feel very much that I can not only look away, but I can call the police, okay? So if that's kind of what you're selling, you know how like when you can't look away from bestiality? Dinesh, we want to know your opinion on me, not what's on your laptop and how they maybe blackmailed you, okay? That's not what we're interested in, Dinesh D'Souza.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter. So Dinesh D'Souza was, not that I'm defending, I'm just telling you so you get the context. So in his mind, it's putting out a joke because Candace is Mrs. Farmer. Because Candace is married to George Farmer. So then he just said, oh, like when you see a farmer, like that's what the joke was about. But I think he ended up saying like it was in poor taste. I'm not getting the joke myself either, but I'm just telling you that was what was explained on Twitter. So I don't know what that is about.
And he's like, well, I meant that as a joke. You didn't mean it as a joke. You went it seriously and it was weird. It got weird very quickly. And we learned more about you than we learned about me. That seems to be the circumstance. It's like a complete boomerang. But yeah, they're really starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel and finding people that are into some weird stuff. So I'd say, I think Dinesh D'Souza, if he thought that that was going to be relatable and convince people, yeah, I totally relate. Yeah, it's like, you just can't look away from that stuff when you see it. That did not happen. That did not happen. Now, because they are seriously increasing and being, I would almost say, erratic in their behavior, obsessive, erratic, neurotic, there is a real risk here, right? I do not accept, and to you guys, that Charlie Kirk lost his life because he really pissed off the trans lobby. It terrifies me to think that on the day that Charlie died, I got multiple phone calls from people who said that me and Tucker should lay low because we're also on the list. And they never told us who specifically told them that, by the way. Now I'm wondering why they never told us who specifically told them that. I called Tucker. I'm like, are you hearing the same thing I'm hearing? They're saying that we're next. And now I go, was that supposed to be a threat to me and Tucker? To have us watch?
So if she has this information, right, because that's a direct information, somebody communicated with her, you need to lay low. Who are these people who told you to lay low? Expose them. Expose them. Expose them. And did you report that? What is the connection between these people and what happened to Charlie Kirk? So that's a fair thing to actually follow through and investigate. Why were they telling you to lay low? What's the big deal? What's up with that? So that is a legitimate thing to actually it needs to be looked after. It must be looked at, okay? So if that happened, she has a text message, somebody was telling her to lay low, yeah, she's managing to do all this investigation. She should absolutely make sure to get answers from those people as to why they were telling Candace to lay low.
Watch the public execution of a friend of ours and then to call us and to say, you should lay low for a little bit because you guys were hearing that you guys are on a list. Was that just supposed to be a threat? Because why wouldn't you be more forthcoming with exactly who you heard that from? And I remember saying, I was like, did the feds say this? Who said this specifically? Because why aren't they calling me and Tucker? Why am I calling Tucker and telling him about this? And I did. He will tell you that. The day that Charlie Kirk was shot, this really happened. And I'm coming out of the grief stage and realizing I think that was an element of this. To send a signal, to shoot him in the throat, right? To say, we took out his voice and we will take yours out too. And that's terrifying and that's real. And these people that we are fighting are dangerous, okay? Do not underestimate them. They are dangerous and they are haughty and they are growing increasingly desperate and panicked. People that are evil in this way are not people that you want to play with, right? People are nervous. Everyone is feeling it. And that's why I decided that I don't know what's going to happen, okay? I don't know how many days I have on this planet. I do know what I'm fighting for. And I do know that this life is not it. It's not. I'm telling you guys, it's not. People that want you to believe that it is. People that pulled you away from your faith in the first place, as I'm trying to demonstrate to you, did it because they knew that they could further enslave you. They want you to be fearful of death. They want you to think it's it. They want you to think it's lights out and then everything is over and that you are not a soul, right? Because then they can get you to do things to guard what you have in this world. Follow their rules, to do things that you know are wrong because you need the money. It indoctrinates you into their matrix. What I wanted to do, as I discussed yesterday, and which got picked up, was to create a kill switch, right? To realize that Kanye was kind of right. Never too late to say that Kanye was right. Kanye said that in order to be free, you had to violate these contracts. You had to recognize that your voice is being controlled. And Kanye did just that. It was really an act of bravery to free himself. But I have no doubt that the same people that were torturing Kanye, the same people that were torturing Charlie Kirk, if Kanye died today, would be the first to eulogize him. I feel that. I do. I feel that. And I think it's important to share that information, as Kanye sent me all of the messages of people who were threatening him. I have them all. To information share with Max Blumenthal, with people, people all over the place, to send a package and say, if anything happens to me and it looks suspicious, release it all. You know, it's not even about having an opposite and equal reaction. I want it to be an unequal reaction. I want it to be a mistake because it catalyzes people waking up and learning exactly how this matrix works. And Alex Jones, I brought this up on his show, my kill switch. Here's what he had to say.
What did she lay the traps for him?
Wow. Alex Jones, the one who denies Sunday Hook happened. All right, let's see what he had to say.
She comes out and says, yeah, Charlie was calling me, wanting me out of his events again and all the rest of it. And he was also really concerned about the Israel lobby coming after him. And they said, you're a liar. Charlie didn't like you. Charlie didn't like you. Charlie didn't call you. He didn't text you. And so she let him say that for a few weeks and then released it, the text. And then she said, yeah, he was really upset with the Israel lobby and said he was breaking with them entirely. He wouldn't be bullied by them. In the weeks before he was killed, they said, you're a liar. That's not true. So she released those 2 days ago. And now she says she has the proof, and it's text messages, that he feared for his life in the 2 days of the day before he was killed. And predictably, they're already saying it. She's a liar. And then she's going to release those. And she's also sent out the dead man switch, just like James O'Keefe did to myself and a few others right before he released the stuff on Prince Andrew, which is dangerous, by the way, proving that he did indeed rape the girls and cover it up. People are like, we already know that. How's that daring? Oh, you're going to release total proof on the King of England's brother? Yeah, that's dangerous. So those of you saying O'Keefe doesn't risk his life and all the stuff he's been through and been arrested and indicted and raided, try putting on issues for a while before you sit around and say that he didn't do anything. Man's a champion. But the point is that this is a real dead man switch. She has sent out to the Tate brothers, Dave Smith, Max Blumenthal, Tucker Carlson, and others. Well, I'm trying to get her on for weeks. I'm a little bummed out she didn't send it to me. Because I'd like to stand with her, but we do stand with her. So they're already out saying she's a liar. She's going to release that. Now, this doesn't prove Israel killed him or a lobby around that. Because I've seen no evidence. They said his security detail was Israeli. They weren't. was just the first knee-jerk reaction. I said, you can certainly say Israel's a suspect. I said, I need to see proof. We need to figure out the ballistics and who really shot him and all that before we then, start saying, okay, motive. I mean, you can always look at motive, but first, with the forensic situation, are they covering it up? What's the ballistics? That's just where I am. I'm not going to just say something because people think it. But when she releases this, she's got it. Make no mistake. Just like she keeps bringing the goods, and she just sets the hook with a worm on it, or puts the mousetrap out with the cheese on it, and they come out and say, you're a liar. And she goes, boom, you're a liar, boom, you're a liar, boom, you're a liar, boom, bam.
Okay, so these text messages are actually true. It's been confirmed. Is Andrew Coffett, the spokesperson of Turning Point USA. So that's why I'm saying, is he doing these things with the blessings by Erica Kai? Because by now, if your text messages are ending up with Candace Owens, you're gone yesterday. The fact that he still has a job at Turning Point USA, I'm suspicious. Like, okay, is this with the blessing by Turning Point USA? So the text messages are actually real. But the text message, they do not prove who killed Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens is on a journey, on a quest to find out who killed Charlie Kirk. The text message do not prove who killed Charlie Kirk. They do not even, so who are they suspecting on this list? Okay? Josh Hammer is on this list. So she was already come out over here suspecting Josh Hammer. And the things that she's using to implicate Josh Hammer, so far they don't hold any water. There was a pastor in there, there was a rabbi in there, and there was Charlie Kirk, and, the other people are not mentioned. So, and COVID was also there, Andrew COVID, because this was his text message, the spokesperson of Turning Point USA. So this text message does not implicate anybody as it relates to who killed Charlie Kirk. Candace Owens is on a quest to find out who killed Charlie Kirk. So even if these text messages are 100% true, they're 100% legit, what do they prove? What do they prove? What do they prove? They do not prove anything. Like, okay, even I grant to her, yes, Charlie Kirk was done with Israel. He was absolutely done. But he never lived to showcase that he was anti-Israel up until he died, because that's what happened. So, okay, the text messages are real. What else? If it was just about text messages, we wouldn't be here, guys. Candace Owens has taken us through rabbit trails and all that, and here we are. So where is the evidence of who killed Charlie Kirk? If anything, is just casting suspicions on people unnecessarily so. So this is feeding her ego right now. When people tell, oh, she has produced receipts and everything else. And oh, by the way, when people were looking at it, she was sitting with this text for weeks and weeks and weeks. Why are you sitting on the evidence that you, Candace Owens, believe that is crucial for the public to know? Is this about Charlie Kirk or is this about Candace Owens? Because it looks like she's enjoying when people are telling her, oh, it's not true, it's not true. Voila, I'm going to produce this. So is this about Charlie Kirk or is this about Candace Owens? Cat and mouse. Turning Point never disputed the text messages. It was just regular people on Twitter saying they are not real whatsoever. When she produced them, Turning Point affirmed, yes, they were actually true. That's what happened. So I think maybe she must have been testing to see if Turning Point is going to reject. That's why I'm saying, like, wait a minute. Andrew Covet, your reasoning, how these text messages ended up with Candace Owens, they do not add up. He actually said it himself. He doesn't know how Candace got these text messages. And on these text messages, there were 9 people. So we already know it cannot be Josh Hammer, because that's the one Candace Owens is coming after, okay? It cannot be that rabbi. That rabbi is in Israel. So the pastor was there. What's his name? McCoy was there. So 3 people there. So, man, if you do the process of elimination, I'm sorry. My mind is on Andrew Covet, man. You said this joy to Candace Owens. That's what I suspect. But I don't have proof as to who sent this to Candace Owens. But I'm suspicious.
So, and she'll let him, for a week or so kind of stew and say she's a liar, and then she'll just release it. And then what she's saying is, you kill me, it doesn't matter, it's coming out. And the word is, he specifically thought Israel was going to kill him. Even Michael Savage first, a few months ago, said, Netanyahu needs to go on my show. During the break, he goes, man, I hope Mossad doesn't kill me. Cruz saw it. It was on the feed. He didn't say it was off record. It was during the break. So there are a lot of groups that want Charlie killed. He was defeating the Democrats with TPUSA, got over 2.5 million people to vote conservatively for Trump, was moving the needle big time, more than anybody with young people on colleges. So I see them as the motive. They said, we want Charlie dead. They said, they celebrated when he was dead. He had like 6 Trantifa say Charlie be dead tomorrow. Then they said, see, we told you. And that was in the town. So, we got Trantifa, the tranny Antifa, running around engaged in all sorts of violence everywhere. So I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, that fits.
So you get the picture. I mean, I think, and he goes on to explain how we all feel, which is like genuinely, we had no proof and no rhyme or reason to think or suspect Israel whatsoever. And it's really just been this insane behavior of covering up and lying that makes us question things. Like, that's the reality. And by the way, questioning things doesn't mean that we have any proof that that happened, which is why we've been actually reticent to say that. But they're not acting right. And gut means something. They're not acting right. None of them are acting right. That's not just Turning Point USA execs. And I've tried to explain it away in my head 1,000 times. Oh, well, everyone's well, whatever, grieving, and give them time. And then it just got to a place where I said, no, this feels like something else. I don't know why they're telling little lies. And little lies only exist to cover up bigger lies. Anyways, you guys, all of that, I also do want to add here, show you a clip before we get into some of your comments, that it's also very good to not extend to everyone that is Jewish the viewpoints of this very radical sect that has a lot of power in America. People like Josh Hammer don't get fired when they explicitly express that, they hate white people, whatever. That's like, okay, on your resume. That's not the people, that you went to school with. Like, I grew up around the Dave Smiths of the world, right? And I always say I'm grateful that I did, because when you engage into politics, what you see is so ugly that you just go, oh my gosh, like coming into stereotypes. You're living up every stereotype. But what you're seeing is the stranglehold of AIPAC. It is a political organization. And I always say, if you look at any lobby in DC, it'll make you hate someone, right? Pharmaceutical lobby will make you hate the pharmaceutical companies. The Jewish lobby will make you hate Jews. The Black Caucus will make you hate Black people. And so people that go to DC are incredibly corrupt. Money rules them, and they become powerful. Power corrupts, absolutely. It's just good to remember that. And I found myself wanting to show you this joke. This is a comedian, John Marco Cerezi, who is Jewish, and he's making fun. This is what comedians do, making fun of himself, makes everybody feel better. Just remember that there are people that are not like Josh Hammer. That's kind of the point I want to get across. Listen to this very funny joke by.
Okay, so that's a fair point. If there are people who knew that something was going to happen, yes, that's important information that the authorities, they need to know, they need to investigate. Okay, so far, we've walked this journey. We still don't know who killed Charlie Kirk, according to Candace Owens. What we have is Tyra Robinson. His DNA was on the scene. His thumbprint, it was his gun. His DNA was on the scene. So all those are the things, right? They used this type of information to charge him. Now, we just have to wait what's going to happen during the trial when all these other things have been examined. So compared to what's being out there with Candace Owens, it's not enough to indict anybody. It's not enough to implicate anybody. This is just accusations. There is enough there that it was enough in order for Robinson to be charged, and he's now in custody. So until we hear something definitive, we just have to wait for that. Okay? We absolutely have to wait for that. But before, let's, what did she say in this one? Okay. We have another one, okay? This was rabbit trail here. So there's another section of this rabbit trail by still Candace Owens. So we just have to table that for another day, okay? But here is a preview of what we're going to take a look when we enter the second section of this rabbit trail, okay? So this is her here. Listen to this, guys.
Okay, this is a Holocaust. A Holocaust just happened. A real Holocaust just happened. And we will never forget this. You need to tell your children what happened in Gaza. You need to tell them exactly who did it, exactly whose families were involved in this. And when you hear in the future somebody tell you, like, we're going to Gaza Beach for a vacation, you need to look at them like they are the absolute vermin of our society, because they are. They are. Their children will be cursed, okay? If you go and you play in the sand where you know that your forefathers planned to mass murder children, you will be cursed. Every person who steps foot on that, every family that is set to inherit what they did, they will be cursed. Your children's children will be cursed. Gaza belongs to nobody but the Palestinians. So when you begin to move the Israelis in there, and when the Trump Hotel gets built on there, I caution the rest of the world to stay far away from that cursed land, because something is coming. You can't commit that much evil in broad daylight and not think it's going to come back to haunt you. Anyways.
Okay, so we're going to get into that on another stream. But she's pronounced curses. Okay? Why are you pronouncing curses on people? That is very dangerous. That is some witchcraft thing going on there. So let's take her what she said, okay? If the people are going to occupy the Gaza, right? If they're going to occupy Gaza, their children's children are going to be cursed. So she has just cursed the entire generation. So the question to ask is this. What happened at the founding of America? Huh? What happened to the Native Americans as a matter of history? As a matter of history, okay? So people who are here who have children's children, are they also cursed? If they are not cursed, why not? If we apply her logic, and we do know how, the blacks ended up in America, if we go back to history, okay? So are they also, the people who brought them, are their children cursed? Okay? Is there a generation cursed to what she's saying if we apply it, is what I'm saying. So this is what happens, like when you go to the extreme, okay? You should be able just to analyze things the way they are without you invoking curses on people, okay? Trust and believe. She went to this journey, okay? Like there is a Jewish hatred that Candace Owens has demonstrated time and time again. It just goes beyond of criticizing whatever is happening in Gaza, whatever is happening between Israel. Are you telling me all those the people who are there, children, right? They're at war, they are what? Which means they're refugees, right? Is Candace Owens going to vote for those people who are at war, the refugees for the Gaza, to come to America, specifically to Nashville? Would she be okay for that? Would she be okay with that? If not, why not? Because you're so concerned about the children of Gaza. They're at war. They're refugees. Should we open the door for them? If the answer is no, why not? You're concerned for them. So these are the things like, okay, people say things, they want you to think that they are so compassionate. But can you actually follow through in helping out in that situation if it came down to it? Because after all, Candace Owens, she's all America first, right? So just putting it out there like, okay, you got to think through these things, okay? Yes. Are they innocent people who have actually died in Gaza? Absolutely, okay? They've been casualties of war. So where was this Candace Owens when the America went to Afghanistan? Did children die in Afghanistan? Women died in Afghanistan? Where are videos Candace Owens decrying that in Afghanistan? What about in Iraq? Where is that? Where is that? Where is that? There are Catholics who were executed in Egypt. She's a Catholic. Where is that? So this selective outrage shows that what is your ideology? It shows that you're not for real. You're just doing these things to pull on people's heartstrings. That's what it is. Okay? So yes, there is so much going on as far as the Middle East situation is concerned. It's it can absolutely pull your feelings and everything. Okay, yeah, we don't. War is ugly. Innocent people get killed during war. It's not a good thing. It does not mean we're criticizing Israel. If they're doing something, yes, they have to be criticized. Okay, they have to be criticized. You have to be criticizing people who are in leadership when they are dropping the ball. That is absolutely fair game. But we cannot be out here, Candace Owens want to behave like she's down for the cause. We do know one of the people who has her kill switch documents is none other than Andrew Tate. So just Google Andrew Tate, okay? Just Google Andrew Tate. So, okay, you're out here fighting, what's his name? The guy in jail, what's his name? I forgot his name. But you have no problem with Kanye. Kanye West's wife doesn't wear clothes, okay? You get the point, what I'm making over here. So this selective outrage, I personally don't buy it. This woman has no ideology. She has no principles. She keeps moving from A to B to C with nothing. Now she's a dream of dreams. She speaks badly about Protestant, like you're telling Charlie, like you're too smart to be a Protestant, okay? So which means Protestants are dumb. You need to be a Catholic in order for you to be sharp. She doesn't even know what she believes. She's a Catholic not by conviction. She's a Catholic by marriage. So she says things that don't even make any sense at all. But she packages the thing so well. She's very manipulative. So she's deceiving millions upon millions of people because people cannot just ask basic questions, okay? Asking questions as far as the matter of Charlie Kirk, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? There are things that are happening. You don't even need to be an expert to be like, I don't like this, I don't like it, I don't like this, okay? There's a way that you can do that without out here accusing a whole bunch of people. She just told us like, oh no, she doesn't have any evidence, nothing to do with Israel. Now she's out here cursing the people who are going to whatever live in Gaza. If you look at Gaza right now, what happened? There's nothing there. You know, it's flat. So what's going to happen? They need to reconstruct. So who is going to reconstruct Gaza? Who's going to pay for that reconstruction? And you know, over here, people are fighting for their healthcare. Your government is shut down. They've shut down the government. Why? You can't go to the hospital. Your healthcare is all off the roof. We have the tariffs. We have all these other things. So trust and believe the people who are going to rebuild Gaza, they're going to want their money. Okay? Because, you know, for the love of the money, right? It's capitalism. Yes, capitalism is coming to Gaza. Just watch. Those are the things that are going to happen, right? We do live in a sinful world, in a fallen world. So those things are actually going to happen. So remember, the conflict that's happening in Gaza did not start in October 7th. All the way back. Okay? Yeah? All the way back. Those are the, Ishmael and Isaac. That land has always been in conflict. And it's always going to be in conflict till Jesus comes. No matter who is there, that's just the nature of that land, of that territory. So if Candace Owens could read her scriptures, could read her Bible, her eyes can be opened. But we know how she is. Yeah, yes, But yeah, I like that. It's like, yeah, so she's out here. So just like, okay, so, yeah. If they but there's some shady things going on. Oh yeah, there's some shady things going on. You know what I mean? We know what's happening over there. Trump, you know what I mean? The tariffs, the crypto, they're selling phones, you name it, the gold, the airplane that's coming, all these other things that's happening. All these other things that's happening. But guess what? Donald Trump is what? Is the president. Is he profiting of his position as the president? You bet. Where is the outrage for that? Where is the outcry for that? So you cannot tell me that you're more concerned about the children of Gaza and we have all these other things that are happening right here in our own backyard. So, yeah. So, no, I do not buy that selective outrage. Flower power, like the witches did with Charlie Kirk. Oh, like, yes, that's what... so also that was another thing. Apparently there were witches, they put a spell or something like that. No, if you are a believer, the power of the Holy Spirit indwells in you. There is no way they can cast a spell on a believer. It does not work. It's impossible. Okay? So, but remember, she's also a Catholic, right? So she has to go to the priest to pray, to ask for forgiveness and everything. No, we have direct access. We go boldly before the throne of God, according to Hebrews. So Jesus was sacrificed once and for all. So this is also what happens when people emerge in false doctrine. it'll get you to places where you don't even want to go. That's what happens. It's par for the course. So I personally, Charlie Kirk was going to Mass, going to a Catholic church, taking a family there. That was wrong. That was in error. As a Protestant, you have no business going back to Rome, period. Lately, there's been this phenomenon. People are leaving Protestant, going to Roman Catholic. It's just like, why are you going back to the vomit? Like, no, you don't have to go there. They have the gospel past works. Why are you living here? Why are you going back? That's what the book of Hebrews is saying. Like, no, we have, Jesus Christ, that's it. The final sacrifice. Why are you going back to be sacrificed bulls and goats? We have the real thing here. Why are you going back? So, yeah, no. So Charlie Kirk going to Mass, no, that wasn't cool. That was not wise. That wasn't good at all. That's why by him doing that, you're giving fuel to this woman, thinking that he was a Catholic. And if you're going there attending Mass, doing all those things, is she wrong to be thinking that now you're going to become a Catholic? Quite frankly, she's not. Because you are showing the things to be making her people think that way. That's why I say you shall know them by their fruits. Okay? So this is what happens, right? They say, no, we need to be wise how we live, right? So that even the people who are watching us, they should be able to give glory to our Father who is in heaven. So, but these are the things that we take for granted, like, I can just live anyhow. People don't see me. No, people are always watching. Yeah. Yes, exactly. People, they were not of us. Yeah. So that we should know, right? Yeah, exactly. That's a good verse right there. Yeah, that we should know that they're not of us. So whatever she's saying, test everything, right? Test the spirit. Hold fast to what is good. So she's out here. People, oh no, she was dreaming and everything. I said, no, according to the scripture, that is witchcraft over there. Then she out here, like, trying to make sure, like, oh no, just so you know, Charlie Kirk, quote unquote, was a Catholic. You know what? Oh, they sent a priest to pray for his body when he died. All these other things, just so you should know, like, okay, I'm there. No. However you want to cut the Kirk, we are not going to lower our standards because, it is not okay for you to be attending Mass. That was wrong. So Charlie Kirk did that. He was absolutely in error. But he's not here now. He's gone. So remember, as believers, right, we also going to give an account before God, the things that we do. Okay? You will give an account. So if that's what he did, yeah, you'll be given an account before his maker. Everybody, whether you're going to hell, you're going to heaven, you will give an account of what you did with your life. So those are the things that what the scripture calls. But all in all, Candace Owens, no. I am wondering, like, what's happening?
All lies will be exposed. That's
exactly.
All.
Yep.
Some of y'all better get y'all discernment together.
Exactly. Discernment together. Exactly. Yep. Guys, you guys are a superstar peoples, Yes, the left. That's actually a good scripture right there. Shout out to Flowers. Thank you for being here. Okay. It's the applause for all of you guys. Lady Sheila in the chat. Okay. No, I'm not a fan of Patel either. Like, no, give the jobs to people who are actually qualified, who actually know what they're doing. Okay. Why are you hungry to be on a microphone? And then he said, oh, Charlie Kirk, I'll see you in Valhalla. Like, no, Charlie Kirk, Valhalla? Like what? He wasn't a Viking. Why are you talking about Valhalla? It's hell or heaven. Okay. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting there. We definitely had, super chat from Rod. All right, guys. Wasn't this wonderful? Let us continue this conversation in the chat, in the comment section. We definitely need to continue this section. So I'm going to have to leave it there for you guys. I hope you find this to be informative to you. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and double check to make sure you're a subscriber. Like this live on your way out and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Stay tuned because we're going to tackle to how this lady is pronouncing curses on the entire generation. Is it possible for Candace Owens to actually pronounce judgment, curses on entire generation? Is it a biblical thing to do? Are those people going to be actually be cursed? Is she operating with the Holy Spirit? Oh, this is the spirit of divination. what is actually going on. So we're going to tackle this and more on the next one. So stay tuned. That is all that I had for you guys today. I hope you find this to be informative to you. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. Until next time, remember, theology matters. Thank you.